Chapter 2368. A Machine? Yi Zichen listened to the wind elemental fairy's screams. After a moment of silence, he saw the corners of her eyes moisten. He reached out and pinched her cheek. Yi Zichen's eyes revealed a gentleness that wasn't there before. Elemental fairies cry too. You're actually a type of human, right? Yi Zichen patted the wind elemental fairy's little head. The instant his hand covered it, the wind elemental elf raised her head subconsciously with tears in her eyes. In that instant, she seemed to have felt that the gentle big brother from before had returned. She looked him up and down. It was as if his frown really wasn't as deep as before. His gaze was as gentle as autumn waters. Emperor's Star. I really have to thank you little fellows. Yi Zichen opened his arms and hugged all of the elemental fairies. The lightning elemental fairy wanted to struggle, but he didn't like this sort of emotional scene. Thus, he gave up after struggling for a while, and couldn't help but reveal a smile. They'd said everything they'd discussed in private, things they didn't dare say to the Emperor's Star. There was no barrier like they'd imagined. The Emperor's Star seemed to accept everything they'd said, and it seemed to be working. That was enough. If the Emperor's Star could mend his ways, they'd truly be satisfied. Yi Zichen felt the elemental fairies in his arms. Yi Zichen hugged them silently, their words echoing in his mind. It really was embarrassing. In the end, he needed these kids to remind him. Emperor's Star, are we going back now? The lightning elemental fairy looked up and asked. In truth, his longing for Earth was no less than Yi Zichen's. There were people they missed there too, although it was very short. It could not be denied that those days in kindergarten had left a very deep mark in the hearts of the elemental elves. Elemental fairies were born alone. They'd always traveled alone. They'd only made friends after they grew up. During their childhood, they had to stay in their own elemental land. Only when they were strong enough to leave would they venture out into the universe. To them, their childhood memories were of the vast elemental lands. They had no friends. But in the kindergarten, they saw many people who seemed to be the same age as them. They could play around. They could learn knowledge that they already knew. It was a very happy time. It was also a very precious memory. Perhaps this time they would not be able to return to the kindergarten, but they still wanted to return to Earth. They liked the way of communication there, and they liked everyone there. It might not be possible now. Suddenly, Yi Zichen let go of them and answered seriously, You're right. No. The lightning elemental fairy was rather anxious. It struggled out of Yi Zichen's arms and stared straight into Yi Zichen's eyes. Why? Didn't we make it clear just now? You really shouldn't continue to travel alone like this. You are not a person who can endure loneliness. Why do you still insist on walking with an iron head? Lei, you're acting a little strange today. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and looked at the angry young man in front of him. Why do you want to return to Earth so urgently? Is there someone waiting for you on Earth? As they spoke, the two sprites ran over to Yi Zichen's side and whispered to each other. Yi Zichen nodded with a look of understanding in his eyes. Oil 2, Ol 5. Sensing the lightning elemental fairy's anger, the water and lightning elemental fairies quickly ran elsewhere. Ziziz, Lil Lei, you're really something. You actually managed to pick up girls in kindergarten? Teacher, that's a teacher. Yi Zichen teased. The lightning elemental fairy blushed, then stuttered with its head lowered. I didn't, I am just a rather good friend. For some reason, a cute image surfaced in the lightning elemental fairy's mind. She was clearly just a child, yet she came to a kindergarten to be a teacher. She was stupid every day and couldn't do anything well. However, the lightning elemental fairy could not forget her innocent smile and her cute look when she did something wrong. She was an angel. That's true, you probably don't like being too young. Even though you looked like a 3-year-old back then, your mind is several tens of thousands of years old, and you've experienced a lot, Yi Zichen smiled. Stop it! The lightning elemental fairy shouted and waved its hand in annoyance. I already said it wasn't because of her. You're getting shy? Yi Zichen smiled, then stopped teasing the lightning elemental fairy. He turned to look at the other elemental fairies. Don't misunderstand, it's not that I don't want to return to Earth. Actually, I already had this thought before you guys even mentioned it. Since everything about me is in this virtual network, going back to Earth or Blue River Planet doesn't matter. But we can't directly go back right now. Sovereign Spirit Phoenix? The lightning elemental fairy asked. That's right. The Venerable had remained in his castle so far. Yi Zichen had already been in the game for 2 months, but she was still staying there without any intention of leaving. It wasn't that Yi Zichen didn't like this big sis. The main thing was that her intentions and trustworthiness were not to the point where Yi Zichen was willing to go all out. If he returned to Earth now, then she would definitely follow him back based on her behavior. What should he do then? No one knew what kind of wish she had. Who was she loyal to? She might not enslave Earth, but what would she do when she sees the gods? Would she inform the higher-ups in the universe? These were all questions that needed to be considered. What's more, the fire elemental commander was not dealt with yet. Yi Zichen would not be able to feel at ease if he wasn't dealt with. That's true, the wind elemental fairy nodded. The wind elemental fairy also nodded. The Venerable Spirit Phoenix's existence was indeed a variable. During this period of time, we should try our best to strengthen ourselves. We will definitely return to Earth, but we need to find a suitable time, Yi Zichen promised the other elemental fairies seriously. Yi Zichen promised the other elemental fairies seriously. To his surprise, the elemental fairies all stared at him silently without saying anything. Why are you guys looking at me like that? Yi Zichen tilted his head. How are we going to increase our strength? The water elemental fairy replied lazily. If we mention it again, then you're going to explode. Are you sure you want to spiral into the sky? If you want to, it's simple. Then, the water elemental fairy took out an elemental crystal. It's just a crystal. As long as I bite it, then you can reincarnate. We'll go find a new host. Chapter 2369. Did it have to be so scary? He looked at the elemental crystal in the hands of the water elemental sprite. It was such a small crystal. Was he going to explode with just one bite? That, Brother Shuei is telling the truth. The wind elemental sprite pursed her lips and reminded him. We reached your limit half a month ago. During this time, we didn't even absorb it naturally. We've been releasing elemental power. Half a month? Yi Zichen looked at the elemental fairies in shock. They hadn't eaten any crystals for half a month? But his own money was being spent on purchases every day. Bailey. Don't look for me, I'm an optical brain, I can't take anything. Bailey guessed what Yi Zichen was going to say, so he directly cut it off. That. We didn't eat it, but we kept the crystals you gave us, the wind elemental sprite said, giggling. What a great job! In order to replenish the consumption of elemental spirit. Every day, Yi Zichen couldn't say that he couldn't make ends meet, but he didn't leave anything behind. The operation of the city required money. He needed money to buy elemental crystals. Elemental phoenixes needed resources and money. If the elemental spirits couldn't be absorbed, then just say so. That way, Yi Zichen could let out a long sigh. Unfortunately, he couldn't blame these little fellows. He knew very well that these little fellows were afraid of poverty. She had followed Yi Zichen for so long, but she had never known what elemental crystals were. Her previous strength was all due to the condensation of elemental energy bit by bit. Now that they finally had elemental crystals, even if they couldn't absorb them now, they would definitely be able to absorb them in the future. Of course, they wouldn't give up. This was like a person who had starved for half his life. After one day of sudden success, the refrigerator at home would always be filled with food. Even if it was broken and thrown away, he still wanted to fill a refrigerator. Not to eat. It was purely to give himself a sense of security, to make up for the shadow in his heart. Why don't we not do it anymore? the wind elemental fairy muttered. Yizichin couldn't help but caress her cheeks with a smile when he saw her look of fear and reluctance. No need, I'll give you back what you deserve. But we can't absorb it now, the wind elemental sprite said. This is not easy to deal with. The reason the elemental fairies were unable to improve was because Yizichin's own elemental resistance was insufficient, causing his body to reach its limit. The elemental fairies had no choice but to stop absorbing and disperse the element. This might have been a problem for other people. To improve one's physique, one had to accumulate it over a long period of time, and the other was to improve one's genes. In the first universe, raw stones that could enhance one's genes were ridiculously expensive, and the effects of buying them weren't that significant. This was indeed a vexing problem. But for Yizichin, it didn't exist at all. It was just a small problem. He clicked on his friend list. Yizichin found Atana, whom he hadn't contacted for a long time. Come out. The moment the message was sent, Atana replied within seconds. Boss! How sturdy are the rune stones and rune stone fragments? We're just waiting for you to pick up the goods. Ada instantly replied. During this period of time, Yizichin had not stopped purchasing rune stone fragments and mines in order to increase his strength significantly. Especially after Chaos City had gained an absolute position. The purchase of rune stone mines had already begun to spread to other villages, and the efficiency of the purchase was much faster than before. Yizichin didn't send anyone to attack them. Yizichin didn't send anyone to attack. He'd always felt that a true dictatorship wasn't the best decision. Taking control of all resources in one's own hands might actually backfire on them. If he ate the meat, then he had to leave the soup for others. Yizichin also sent Chicano to purchase the villages that had rune stone mines. He couldn't just buy all of them for himself. He needed at least 60% of them. All the unappraised rune stones that he bought were all handed over to Atana to deal with. Several months later, he had already stored a huge amount of rune stones and rune stone fragments. Boss, do you need them? I'll send them to you right now, Atana quickly replied. He had already opened a shop in Chaos City, so it wouldn't take him too long to get to the city lord's manor. He was also in a hurry to hand over the rune stones. Seriously, the rune stones were too tempting for him. During the past few months, he had thought about selling the rune stones more than once. However, when he thought about the possibility of being hunted down in the future, and the fact that working with Yizichin in the long term was definitely more practical than selling them, he resisted the terrible thought. Even so, no one would be able to accept having a mountain of gold in front of them that they couldn't take. What's more, Atana was a gambler. The temptation of money was countless times stronger than other people's. Since he was able to endure it for so long, it was clear that he was very interested in Yizichin. Where are you sending them to? The city lord's manor. I'm not there anymore. Yizichin's expression darkened when he saw Atana's reply. No matter what, Atana was one of his trusted subordinates, and one of his subordinates rather early on. Atana was even wanted by the village for Yizichin's sake. Yet, Atana didn't even know that Yizichin had left the city for nearly half a month. Oh, then you mean, send these rune stones to me. There's a post office in our town, right? There is, but the postage, I'll pay. And the errand fees, I'll pay. And that, do you want to die? Yizichin typed out a few words when he saw Atana's endless messages. Ahem, I didn't mean that. I just wanted to say, can we settle the fees? Atana replied. Go find Chicano. All right. In less than half a minute, Yizichin, who was sitting in his room, received a message. Boss, check it. If there's no problem, then I'm going to go and get the money from Chicano. Go! Yizichin replied, then couldn't help but remind him. Don't gamble anymore. That place is a bottomless pit. No matter how much money you have, it will definitely end up in their hands. Hee, I know. Yizichin knew that Atana definitely didn't take his words to heart when he saw his reply. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered to remind him anymore. He clicked on the email. Only then did he notice that there wasn't just one email that Atana sent him. There were a total of 200 emails. They filled up his inbox. Does the amount have to be so ridiculous? Yi Zichen pursed his lips and looked at the attachment, then looked down at the other emails that filled up his inbox. It seems like I'm really going to get a huge increase this time. Chapter 2370. Extraction. A backpack full of rune stones. Yi Zichen couldn't help but let out a long sigh when he saw them. Ada had done a good job. After the rune stone had been appraised, the fragments had all fused into a complete rune stone. The low-level rune stones had also been fused to at least rank 3. Actually, from the appearance of the rune stone system, it could be seen there were still some differences between the first and second universes. In the first universe, gene leveling up used geno stones to increase the strength of one's body. However much it could absorb, there was no distinction of grades on the stones. In the second universe's rune stone system, rune stones had distinct grades and attribute. Strength, physique, elements, there was a very clear division. This way, the natives here could accurately upgrade their genes. Whichever they wanted to upgrade, they just needed to buy the corresponding talisman stones. From this, it could be seen that the second universe compared to the first universe. Gene enhancement. It was like an evolution. Yi Zichen frowned slightly in confusion. If that was really the case, then wouldn't this also prove that the second universe was actually an evolution in all aspects compared to the first universe? The thought disappeared in Yi Zichen's mind. He could not continue thinking like this. Moreover, the meaning behind the birth of the second universe was not something he should be pondering right now. There was a saying in his hometown, even if the sky falls, there are tall people to hold it up. There were too many supreme beings, overlords, and rulers in the first universe. With them around, why would he, a mere star rank, care about these things? He took the rune stone in order to improve his physique. It was not to pry into the secrets of the second universe. He tapped on the rune stone system. Compared to the first universe, the rune stone system was more approachable. Runes that had already been embedded could be removed. It would not be damaged. Actually, Yi Zichen did care about that. After taking out the rune stone, he could clearly feel his strength, physique, and many other attributes decreasing, but it did not affect his body at all. The existence of the rune stone system was like an external upgrade. Humans could freely adjust and replace their own attribute. Suppose that, under certain circumstances, if you needed to increase your strength, you could set a neutral runestone slot full of strength runestones, allowing your strength to reach the pinnacle. If he needed physique, he would remove the power and add it to his physique. If he needed elemental resistance, he would remove his constitution and add it to his elemental resistance. If he needed an elemental attack, he would remove the resistance and add an attack. This was definitely an evolution. In the first universe, after a human absorbed a genostone, there was no way to retrieve it, let alone replace it. The level of absorption was the level of absorption. It was not as flexible as the second universe. For some reason, Yi Zichen recalled what Bai Feng had told him before. The head of the Virtual World Corporation, Wen Li, had once cast a great spirit art on everyone in the second universe in order to bewitch their minds and make them submit to the first universe. She made them believe that the first universe was the people of God, and that they couldn't be rebellious. One had to know, in terms of the number of experts, the first universe far surpassed the second universe. Even if a war really broke out, whether it was the number of experts or the total population of the human race, they would far surpass the second universe. Why was she still doing this? Was she afraid of something? That was what Yi Zichen thought back then, but from the looks of it now, she's afraid of this rune stone. Yi Zichen couldn't help but lick his lips as he looked at the talisman in his hand. The flexibility of the rune stones of the second universe made Wen Li feel fearful. She was probably worried that if they really fought, The second universe could use the flexibility of the rune stone system to specifically enhance them in the first universe. Another thing was, the production rate of the rune stones here seemed to be ridiculously high. In the first universe, Geno stones could only be used by those above the universe level. Furthermore, they were rare and expensive. The rune stones here, a tiny domain-level village, was able to occupy several mines. Large amounts of unappraised rune stones and shards were produced every day. Even the ferocious beasts outside could drop them. What's more, the rune stone system here could be awakened at the first level of the awakened domain. Compared to the universe level of the first universe, it was as if the humans were the favored ones. Did the Virtual World Corporation discover this? That's why they allowed the consciousness of all humans to enter here in advance in order to increase the competitive position of the humans of the first universe among the natives after the fusion. That can't be right. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen's heart skipped a beat. He looked at the rune stone in his hand, the equipment in his bag, and even the scrolls. Was there a possibility? Everything dropped by the ferocious beasts was not data. It was not gathered from the Virtual World Corporation's data, nor was it placed here by the Virtual World Corporation for the humans of the first universe to use. Instead, this was how the world was. Lu Shuiheng had mentioned that they went there in order to obtain a god-bestowed weapon. In other words, the natives knew about the possibility of the ferocious beasts dropping equipment. There was also a very important point, which was the path of the hero dungeon scroll. The Virtual World Corporation's technology was very strong. It was very simple for him to open a dungeon space in the second world using virtual data. But how did he make the power of the universe exist in this virtual space? It was the power of the universe that truly existed and could increase the strength of humans. This bit of data was impossible. Only something that truly existed, in other words, this path of the hero actually existed in the second universe. For some reason, Yi Zichen thought back to when he was still in the village. He seemed to have noticed that there were natives in the village who also held the path of the hero dungeon scroll. Does that mean that they actually know about the path of the hero as well? Steelcase had also mentioned that some of the scrolls he bought were obtained from the native. F***CK. It can't be. The more Yi Zichen thought about it, the colder he felt. For some reason, he recalled the Virtual World Corporation's clarification. The second universe was a world that truly existed. Since it truly existed, how could it be manipulated by data? That was simply impossible. Illusion. The Virtual World Corporation was actually using games to cover up the truth. They used virtual games to rationalize everything in the second universe, causing people to subconsciously think that it was all virtual data. Otherwise, if everything was exposed, then it would definitely cause panic in the first universe. But they never thought that, no matter how rich the Virtual World Corporation was, how could they possibly provide so many weapons and armor for humans? After all, there were countless galaxies in the 108 universe countries, and there was no way to calculate the number of life planets in each galaxy. The number of weapons, coins and props produced by the savage beasts every day might be 10 to the power of 100. How could the Virtual World Corporation provide so many resources? That was simply impossible. No matter how rich the Virtual World Corporation was, it was impossible for them to supply the entire human race with equipment. Some people would say that it was all virtual data. Data, if it truly was data, then how could it be extracted into reality? Wait. Yi Zichen shook his head once again. Data could not be extracted into reality. Physical objects could. But since everything was physical, how did the humans in the first universe use their virtual consciousness to extract the physical objects into reality? The first universe and the second universe were extremely far apart. How did they extract these props and equipment? None of this made sense. Also, actually, Yi Zichen was rather curious. Since they were virtual consciousnesses, why would their injuries affect their real selves? Was it really like what the Virtual World Corporation said, that it was caused by the brainwaves of the virtual network? That shouldn't be the case. Also, since humans entered the second universe through the virtual network, then that meant that the virtual network already covered the second universe. If that was the case, then there would definitely be people who used the virtual network. Yi Zichen wasn't sure about the others, but the reporters would definitely search for them and discover the existence of the second universe. However, there was no news that mentioned the coordinates of the second universe. There was also the most important point: Yi Zichen's consciousness entered the second universe. The elemental spirits entered? They were not connected to the virtual network. They were merely residing in Yi Zichen's arm. Logically speaking, when Yi Zichen's consciousness entered the second universe, they should still be in the first universe. Then, could there be such a possibility? There was no need for the universes to fuse. Actually, the universes had already fused. Chapter 2371. When that crazy thought lingered in his mind, he couldn't get it out of his head. From the possibilities Yi Zichen had just mentioned, he felt like his thoughts weren't shocking at all. That was the problem. Since the second universe could remain undetected, then there were only two possibilities: distance and space. If it was distance, then there were plenty of experts in the first universe. The overlords and sovereigns didn't count, but the supremes could go. After learning that the second universe had limitless resources, why didn't the supremes explore it? Go to the second universe in person and plunder the resources? An entire universe. A complete universe that included all the major universes in the 108 universe countries. The resources it contained couldn't even be measured in numbers. It was worth it for the supremes to go in person. Why didn't they go? Did they already go, but Yi Zichen didn't notice? Or did they go and not find them? From Yi Zichen's perspective, it was more likely the latter. The reason he made this judgment was due to the intricate power system within the universe. After living in the universe for a year, Yi Zichen hadn't been lost all this time. He was doing his best to absorb the knowledge of the universe. In the first universe, in terms of power system, there were three main factions: the Virtual World Corporation, the Universe Mercenary Alliance, the Supremes Association. These three parties were all forces with supreme existences. Universe 2 had been discovered by the Virtual World Corporation, so it was impossible for the other two parties not to send people to investigate. In the universe, Yi Zichen was a mere star level. In the entire universe, he was just a speck of dust. Don't forget, back in the Milky Way galaxy, Yi Zichen had once been a leader, so he knew all too well about the schemes and struggles between factions. The Milky Way was just a miniature version of the first universe. The competition between factions wasn't much different. Based on his past experience, if any faction discovered the location of the second universe, that faction would definitely make a big move. The three factions kept each other in check. If any one of them made a big move, the other two would definitely follow suit. If the higher-ups made a move, the people below would have to act as well. The power of the entire universe would be affected by the slightest movement. Also, there was no doubt that one faction might discover it, but they would do it in secret. When they reached their level, it was hard to say. There really wasn't anything they could hide from each other. If they wanted to understand their opponent, how could they not infiltrate their opponent? It was no exaggeration to say Yi Zichen was certain that the Virtual World Corporation, the Mercenary Alliance, and the Association of Supremes had spies among their core higher-up. There were definitely spies among those who could get in touch with the higher-ups of their respective organizations. This was inevitable. If he wanted to defend against it, he definitely wouldn't be able to. Until now, many families and forces in Universe 1 were still carrying out their own duties. From this, it could be determined that other than the Virtual World Alliance, the other two parties had not found the specific coordinates of Universe 2. So here comes the problem. Since it was an area covered by the Virtual World Group's virtual network, Why couldn't it be discovered? There was only one possibility. The difference between the second universe and the first universe was not the distance, but the space. At this time, Yi Zichen stood rooted to the spot, his pupils constricting violently. The elemental elves around him sensed the change in his expression. Their eyes were filled with confusion. "Imperial Star?" the lightning elemental fairy asked in a testing manner. Hearing that, Yi Zichen returned to his senses and quickly called out Bell. "Bailey." "What?" "If, and I'm saying if, from the perspective of space, two universes can exist in parallel?" Yi Zichen asked. "I don't quite understand what you mean," Bailey said. "I mean, take the first and second universes as an example. These two universes do not exist in the same plane of space. Instead, they exist in two parallel planes of space." Bailey frowned, but didn't speak for a long time. He was an optical computer, yes. But that didn't mean he was omniscient. He really couldn't give an immediate answer to Yi Zichen's question. After approximately half a minute of silence, "I think it's possible. A senior in the machine race once suggested this idea. It's called the multidimensional theory of space. Theoretically speaking, the things you mentioned just now are possible, but no one has ever proven it. Space has always been a rather mysterious domain. No matter how much you study space, it's like a never-ending corridor. The further you go, the less you will feel like you know. If you really want to know whether it exists or not, then you might have to ask the space elemental fairy." Bailey frowned. Bailey replied with a frown, but soon after, he spoke again. "Why would you have that sort of thought? Hey, say, don't you think," as he spoke, Bailey's expression also revealed a look of terror. He seemed to have guessed Yi Zichen's thoughts, but from his perspective, it was truly too crazy. Yi Zichen nodded silently, while Bailey's pupils also contracted. "Say, this thought of yours." For some reason, Bailey forcefully swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He had wanted to deal a blow to Yi Zichen's confidence. He was truly too crazy. Two universes existing in parallel. Doesn't that mean that the people of the first universe have already stepped onto the second universe? It's just that the two universes have not materialized yet. But, suddenly, he thought of another sentence. Sometimes, the truth is in the hands of those seemingly crazy people. Why did he have to deny Yi Zichen's thoughts? What he said, it wasn't impossible. "You might be right," Bailey nodded after a moment of hesitation. After hesitating for a long while, Bell nodded. "But don't tell anyone about your thoughts, and don't even think about it. Even if you're really close to the truth, I don't think it's a good thing for you." "I know," Yi Zichen nodded. He was at the star level, so even his guesses were correct. But what could he do? No matter if it was his strength or his words, he was unable to shake the universe. Even he was considering it. Yi Zichen knew very well that he was definitely not a true genius. The reason why he thought of parallel universes was due to his previous experience. Since he could think of it now, he did not think that the powerhouses in the universe could think of it. He was certain that there were people in the universe who had already thought of it, and had already started to get close to the truth. No one could be sure. What would the future hold? What he could do now was... He looked towards the rune stone in front of him. What he could do was become stronger. Chapter 2372. Within the fenced courtyard, Yi Zichen half knelt on the ground and pressed his hands against the ground as he panted heavily. The current him, his robe was soaked with sweat. The steaming white was hot air, lingering around his body. "I'll go. What the hell is going on?" The intense pain stimulated all of Yi Zichen's nerves. Not long ago, everything was fine. Just now, after embedding a level 5 rune stone into his entire body, Yi Zichen thought about changing the fire resistance rune stone to a level 6. In an instant, the moment the rank 6 rune stone was embedded, intense pain enveloped his entire body. Starting from that acupuncture point on his body, the surging heat energy spread throughout his entire body. "Take the Geno stone," Bailey, who had been monitoring Yi Zichen's data, shouted. Yi Zichen removed the talisman stone from the acupoint without any hesitation. The heat in his body instantly disappeared, causing him to feel much more relaxed. Why is this happening? Yi Zichen couldn't help but frown. This heat wave came too suddenly, without any warning. Unfortunately, he didn't have any possibility of defending himself. If it had been any later, he felt like he was about to be devoured by the fire element in the rune stone. A full body of level 5 rune stones should be your limit. Although the rune stones here are different from the Geno stones in the first universe, don't think that breaking through is a simple matter. If you want to break through, you will have to endure the pain. I don't know why, but you didn't feel anything before you embedded level 6. In the first universe, even for a person with a universe-class body strength, fusing with a Geno stone would be quite painful. Bailey, who stood on Yi Zichen's shoulder, said. After personally witnessing the entire process of Yi Zichen fusing with the talisman, and seeing how Yi Zichen could remove the talisman after adding it, Bailey was filled with curiosity towards the talisman stones. This is weird. Geno stones can be removed. Let me tell you, if this is the first universe, absorbing a Geno stone is the same as absorbing it. No matter how painful it is, you have to endure it. There is no such thing as suddenly not being able to fuse it halfway. That's too painful for you. It really wasn't that Yi Zichen was spoiled. He'd suffered no less than anyone else. He thought that his willpower was strong enough. Unfortunately, just now, when the talisman stone was fusing, the pain was simply unbearable for him. Do you think gene breakthroughs are child's play? Bailey replied, genetic breakthroughs are meant to break through the shackles of human genes. Breaking through these shackles is inevitable. If you didn't endure that kind of pain, die. There was no hesitation in Bailey's reply. Don't think it's unbelievable. Every year, many human beings die because of gene breakthroughs. In the history of the human race, the strongest person who died due to a genetic breakthrough was the Overlord. He Gemin, Yi Zichen exclaimed. For the sake of gene breakthrough, even an Overlord might die. This was too terrifying. It's all his fault for being too greedy. Bailey replied. That Overlord was actually an Overlord who had been famous for a long time. Unfortunately, his talent had reached its limit and he was unable to advance even half a step in the past tens of thousands of years. At that time, his gene level was already ridiculously high. If humans were to use one as a unit of measurement, then his gene level might have already reached 300. In other words, he had 300 times the strength bonus, but he was still not satisfied. 300 times. In other words, if he were to face an Overlord who had not undergone genetic enhancement, he could fight 300 of them alone. Of course, that was impossible. When one reached the Overlord class, their genes would more or less experience a breakthrough. Normally, it would be 10 times. Even so, he could still fight 30 Overlord class. Yet, he was still not satisfied. That sort of battle prowess was enough to stand above everyone else. He was still not satisfied? As expected, aren't the thoughts of an Overlord something ants like us can understand? Greed is sometimes a disaster. Actually, even if that Overlord of yours didn't undergo genetic enhancement, he was still the top of the top in the human race. Even the Supreme Beings did not dare to say that they could definitely beat him. However, he was too ambitious. He wanted to break through the limit of 300 times. Then, he forcefully absorbed a gene stone, causing his body to explode and die. When he died, we, the machine race, got the news and celebrated for an entire year. Bailey shrugged with a smile. Yi Zichen did not deny it. The human race and the machine race were enemies. The fact that he was able to live harmoniously with Bailey meant that he was a rather special existence. That human Overlord was definitely a huge threat to the machine race. He died. The machine race had one less great enemy. Of course they celebrated. Think about it from another's perspective. If one of Yi Zichen's great enemies died, Then he might have to buy some firecrackers. If that's the case, then didn't I almost— Yes, almost, Bailey nodded. I've been observing your situation. When that level 6 rune stone was embedded, your entire body's internal system started to collapse. It's fortunate that the rune stone could be removed, otherwise, if it continued to collapse, you would most likely die. Thank the heavens, Yizichin sighed. Then I won't be able to embed rune stones in the future? Of course not, Bailey replied. Your current limit might be the limit of your current realm. After you break through, your body's strength will increase. At that time, you can continue to undergo genetic breakthroughs. Oh yeah, there should be data on how much your genes have increased, right? Yes. In the second universe, even though the Virtual Realm Corporation had removed some of the data, the rune stone system still displayed the data. Yizichin clicked on the details page. What happened? Bailey couldn't help but ask when he saw Yizichin remain silent. It feels a bit bad, Yizichin frowned. Bad? How much? Bailey asked. It says that my strength is increased by 2,700%, elemental attack and resistance are both increased by 2,000%, and health is increased by 3,600%. How much? Bailey shouted. 27 times strength, 20 times attack resistance, and 36 times health. Yizichin repeated the data, then couldn't help but sigh. He wasn't too satisfied with this sort of data. It was only a few dozen times. The difference between the two of them in any realm was like a chasm. This bit of increase. There was no way for him to challenge someone of a higher level. Yizichin clenched his fist. Yizichin really couldn't feel where the 27 times strength increase came from. It was when the rune stone was embedded. He could feel the power surging within his body. Bailey stared straight at Yizichin, then shouted at Yizichin's dissatisfied expression. You're a monster, right? Chapter 2373. This person did it on purpose, right? Bayzichin looked at Yizichin's innocent and confused face, then thought back to his dissatisfied expression. Humans are the most annoying. Bailey couldn't help but reveal a worried expression as well. Why humans can always give birth to such a monster. Are we outsiders going to be abandoned by the universe? Star level. A genetic increase of more than 10 digit. Not even one appeared in the machine division in 8 million years. What's more, 10 digits starting with 2. What about me? Yizichin was confused when he heard Bailey's exclamation. Is it a lot? I shouldn't be able to beat the galaxy realm with my current increase, right? It's just a pure clash of strength, and the kind that doesn't count all sorts of trump cards. Look, is this something a human would say? Do you understand genetic breakthroughs? Not really. Yizichin shook his head. His understanding of genetic breakthroughs was indeed very shallow. The main thing was that he didn't really care about it. If it wasn't for the elemental fairies mentioning it, he wouldn't have embedded a rune stone. Come, take a look at the datasheet. Then, a form appeared in front of Yizichin. Tell me when you're done. Yizichin could tell that Bailey was in a bad mood, so he twitched his mouth and enlarged the form. The content of the form was about genetic breakthroughs. There were many geniuses in the human race. Although genetic breakthroughs could only be carried out at the universe level, and the expensive raw genostones were not something that normal people could afford, there were still many people on the internet who speculated about the limits of genetic breakthroughs. This included domain level, star level, and star system level. Approximately 10 odd minutes later, Yizichin read through the entire form. Where did you get it from? From the virtual network. It's reliable. There were plenty of scammers on the internet, so it was best not to believe their words. Do you think that the form I gave you isn't reliable? Bailey grinned. This table was compiled by one of your human race's overlord-level experts. It's for the sake of preventing your human race from forcefully breaking through and causing your body to explode and die. The data on it can be said to be very normal and a very moderate form. Overlord. Just these 2 words were enough to prove the authority of this form. When Yi Zichen heard this, he read it over again very seriously. Hey, since this hegemon sent out this form, why do so many humans still die after breaking through? Asked Yi Zichen. This isn't something that can be easily explained. There will always be people who can't recognize reality. There was no lack of geniuses in this world. What's more, there was no lack of arrogant fellows. They had no way of truly recognizing themselves. They felt that they might not be mediocre. In order to display their value and be superior to others, they forcefully broke through. In this table, the safe value was clearly given. The meaning of safety value. Anyone could break through to this level, and there was no possibility of their body exploding. But if he broke through to a safe value, it would be over. In fact, it proved that he had just reached the level of an ordinary person. That was all. In order to show that he was special, there were many who risked their lives. But this safety value is really too low. Yi Zichen looked at the contents of the form. This overlord had also calculated the safety value of the star rank. Perhaps no one would have thought that the safety value he gave was actually 2 times. You think it's low? Bailey pursed his lips and suppressed the anger in his heart. What do you think is high? I'll just tell you like this. When this table was given out, we, the machine race, performed several calculations and came to the conclusion that there is no problem with the table given by this overlord. 2 times is the safety value of the star rank. And this is based on the fact that 1 is above the 5th level of the star rank. Otherwise, 1 might explode. Is that so? Yi Zichen scratched his head. According to this, all of his numbers were 20-something times. Then is mine considered high or low? The table on the table only showed the safety value. The rest did not appear. There were many people in the first universe. It was impossible for everyone to break through to a safe value, so there were definitely people who could break through to a higher level. This isn't even high anymore. At that moment, before Bailey could say anything, the lightning elemental sprite suddenly popped out. The elemental sprites had been in the fenced courtyard the entire time. What Yi Zichen said just now, they all heard it. Emperor's Star, this multiple of yours is already infinitely close to the limit. In my memories, there are memory fragments of genetic breakthroughs, and one of them is the table that Bailey mentioned, the lightning elemental sprite said. The thunder elemental sprite spoke and looked at Bell. If I remember correctly, this form was written by the Master of the Galaxy. Yes, Bailey nodded. Then that's right, the lightning elemental sprite said. When the Master of the Galaxy was doing the data analysis, us elemental sprites were all there. We all know the process of his analysis. Of course. I don't remember how, but I remember the data he analyzed, and what he said at the time. Do you think that I'm wrong? I feel like humans shouldn't be limited to absorbing genostones at the universe level. They should be able to absorb genostones at the domain, star and galaxy levels as well. This is the data. Take a look. The lightning elemental sprite recalled the memory fragments in his mind. At that time, he seemed to be an adult lightning elemental sprite. Thinking back, he felt like he was rather handsome. Of course, none of that was important. What was important was the data that the Master of the Galaxy had given him. The data was still fresh in his mind. It was also the data that made him unable to remain silent. Because the data Yi Zichen just said shattered the Master of the Galaxy's conjecture. The Master of the Galaxy mentioned that there is theoretically no limit to human genetic breakthroughs. The most important thing is the strength of the body. Of course, this point needs to be established above the Overlord level. Therefore, according to the Master of the Galaxy's thoughts, the dead Overlord did nothing wrong. It was reasonable for him to break through, but unfortunately, he was unlucky. Oh yes, that's what the Master of the Galaxy said, not me. Before the Overlord level, there is a peak in every major realm. And this peak will affect his future breakthroughs. Peak affects the future. Yi Zichen frowned. You mean to build a foundation? Yes. The lightning elemental sprite nodded. The higher your breakthroughs in the early stages, the higher your future breakthroughs will be. According to the Master of the Galaxy's calculations, the peak for breaking through to the star level is 30 times. 30 times, then that means, yes, you shattered the Master of the Galaxy's conjecture. You broke through to the peak of the star level. With such a result, do you think your data is high or low? Chapter 2374. Peak Breakthrough. Yi Zichen's record of 30 times that of the star level had been broken. When the Thunder Elemental sprite finished speaking, Yi Zichen could feel the disbelief in his and Bei Li's eyes. Do you understand now? Bei Li also spoke up. He felt terrified when he thought about the numbers Yi Zichen just said. The height of the peak would determine the height of the subsequent breakthroughs. Simply put, take the data as an example. The star state gene could reach 30% of the peak. Theoretically, the cosmic system state gene could also reach 30% of the peak. There shouldn't be too much of a difference. Peak breakthrough, theoretically, he could break through at the peak of the cosmic system state. In the early stages, it didn't seem particularly obvious. The later it was, the difference in their breakthroughs became even more obvious. The gap between their gene levels would also increase. Of course, that was all in theory. There would always be exceptions, but for Yi Zichen to break through his peak, you can't say there aren't any. Very few. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen started to doubt his own talent. Genius? Monster? After a brief moment of daydreaming, Yi Zichen attributed everything to the rune stone. This was the second universe. His breakthrough also came from the rune stone of the second universe general. Here, he could no longer judge based on everything in the first universe. Perhaps Yi Zichen's breakthrough was monstrous in the first universe, but in the second universe, who could be sure that it wasn't just normal? It's not enough. Yi Zichen smiled silently, then looked at the runestones in his backpack. Since the foundation determines the height of the future, Yi Zichen naturally had to make sure that his foundation was absolutely solid. Now, only his vital data had broken through the theoretical peak of the Master of the Galaxy. There was still a gap between the other data and the peak. If everything goes according to the data theory, since his vital stats could break through the peak, the others should be able to as well. What are you doing? Although they hadn't known each other for too long, Bei Li seemed to be able to understand Yi Zichen's thoughts. Don't mess around. You saw what happened just now. Using all the rank 5 rune stones is your limit. Isn't that fire resistance? Yi Zichen smiled. How would I know if I don't try the rest? This idea of yours. Even if I really can't take it, I can take it off, can't I? Yi Zichen smiled confidently. This was the benefit of breaking through in the second universe. It was not like the first universe. There was no way out once he absorbed it. If you feel that something is wrong, you can take out the talisman stone at any time. Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh. It felt like the second universe was favored by this world. Compared to the first universe, they had more opportunities to experiment, and there was no possibility of an overlord class dying from absorbing genostones like the first universe. An overlord class monster. There were only so many in the entire first universe. Losing any overlord would be a serious blow to the universe. In response to Yi Zichen's words, Yi Zichen's heart sank. Both the elemental elves and Bell fell silent. He was right. Yi Zichen could actually try. All right. After hesitating for about half a minute, Bell nodded and said with a serious expression, "But you must listen to me. When I tell you to take it off, you must take it off. Don't resist it." "No problem." Yi Zichen nodded. Of course he didn't want to die. If he really felt like he was unable to endure the burden of the rune stone, then he wouldn't do it. No one would joke around with their lives. "We're going back too." The lightning elemental fairy also spoke up. The appearance of the elemental fairies was to let Yi Zichen understand his current situation. What they should say. They all said the same thing. Since Yi Zichen's elemental resistance had already increased under the enhancement of the rune stone, they could continue to devour elemental crystals without worry. As for the elemental fairies, even though they weren't as lucky as the fire elemental fairies in finding the elemental lands, however, they were able to touch the threshold of childhood with the help of high-level elemental crystals. The elemental fairies returned to Yi Zichen's arm. The moment they returned, Yi Zichen was able to clearly feel the huge change that the rune stone had brought to him after increasing his elemental resistance. Previously, Yi Zichen's elemental arm had always felt like it wasn't smooth. From the looks of it, it should be what the elemental fairies had said. It was because their elemental powers had already reached the limit that Yi Zichen could control, which was why he felt that way. Now that his elemental resistance had increased, it naturally disappeared. This phenomenon naturally disappeared, and there was also a sense of relaxation. It was as if everything had been relaxed. I just don't know if this resistance can endure Lil Fire's awakening. It doesn't matter if it can or not. He won't try to increase his elemental resistance in a short period of time. The pain from not long ago was still fresh in his mind. Actually, if Yi Zichen had stayed in Chaos City, he could have gone to the land of the elements to cultivate for a while in order to strengthen his body and continue to increase his tolerance towards the elemental resistance rune stone. But now, he had already arrived at the city. Going back and forth would take too long. More importantly, he hadn't taken care of everything yet. He opened his backpack. He took out a level 6 strength rune stone. Yi Zichen looked at the rune stone that had been embedded into his acupuncture point. Replace. The moment the rune stone was replaced, Bailey also became nervous and carefully observed Yi Zichen's situation. F***CK. Not long later, Bailey couldn't help but exclaim. After the rune stone was embedded, Yi Zichen actually didn't reveal any expression of discomfort. His expression was completely normal. "You're a monster, right?" "Ha ha ha," Yi Zichen laughed. Actually, he was rather worried before the rune stone was embedded. It seems like his guess was correct. He still had a lot of room for improvement in terms of strength. The peak of his elemental resistance did not mean that his other resistances had reached their peak. Yi Zichen continued to replace the rune stones. Yi Zichen frowned when he replaced the 23rd rune stone. It was the 27th rune stone. Cough, Yi Zichen, who was sweating, couldn't help but snort. However, this pain was still a bit different from the pain from before. Enduring the pain was no longer important. Yi Zichen was able to endure this bit of pain. What was important was the compatibility between the rune stone and the acupoint. The rune stone could only be truly embedded. Only then could his genes be improved. Yi Zichen frowned when he saw the situation of his acupoint. Fuse in. Chapter 2375. The rune stone went in. Even if he didn't go through the rune stone's interface, Yi Zichen was able to see his current situation through the universe's energy. At that moment, it was as if his acupoint was unable to endure the gene energy of the level 6 rune stone. He had been very resistant towards the rune stone. Fuse. Yi Zichen's eyes were already red. Bailey clenched his fist, but did not tell Yi Zichen to give up. From what he saw, there was still a possibility of fusing with the rune stone. The first 26 rune stones. Even fusing and embedding them did not take as long as this one. Just this one, 10 minutes had already passed. "I can't take it anymore." "Take it!" Bailey shouted decisively when he saw Yi Zichen's state become more and more sluggish. "Fuse!" Yet, at that moment, Yi Zichen seemed to have forgotten his promise to Bailey, as he forcefully fused the rune stone with his teeth. The sound of bones cracking could be heard. The rune stone was embedded. After it was embedded, the feeling that Yi Zichen gave off became a lot stronger. His skin had turned dark red. "Ha! You still want to pretend? Don't you still have to go in quietly?" After fusing with the rune stone, Yi Zichen fell onto the ground and looked up at the blue sky. "This place really is like Earth," At least the color of the sky gave off a familiar feeling. I wonder how they are. Yi Zichen smiled silently. After he embedded the runestone, he looked at the data on the runestone's interface. 32 4 times. A level 6 runestone increased strength by 0.2 times. In terms of strength, no one below the 7th level of the star level should be able to match him. He didn't even need to fear the 8th or 9th level. What's more, he had the hollow ore set. Star level. There was no longer any threat to him. Yi Zichen waved his arm. Yi Zichen could feel the space around him being torn apart as he waved his arm. Does it feel good? Bei Li's voice sounded out faintly. Yi Zichen, who was immersed in the joy of his increase in strength, turned around and saw Bei Li staring at him. Do you know what you were doing just now? I told you to give up on taking it off. Why did you forcefully embed it in? Are you really not afraid of death, or are you tired of living? Yi Zichen subconsciously covered his ears. After a while, he grinned. Hey, I'm fine now. But don't forget what you promised me. Bei Li glared at him. Do you know how dangerous it was just now? If you had failed to forcefully fuse with it, that aperture would have been destroyed. It will be permanently destroyed. In the future, don't even think about embedding a talisman stone into that acupoint. Who knows, there might even be problems with the circulation of the cosmic energy in your body. It's that serious? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. There definitely won't be a next time. You're really lucky. Fortunately, there were no problems, and Bei Li did not want to lecture him too much. How much is it now? 32. 4 times, Yi Zichen replied. Although Bei Li had expected Yi Zichen's embedding to exceed the theoretical limit of the Lord of the Galaxy, hearing it from Yi Zichen himself was even more shocking. From the looks of it now, Yi Zichen had already shattered the Master of the Galaxy's theories in terms of life force and power. Actually, I have a question. Bei Li frowned. Why did it only increase by so little after embedding so many level 6 runes? All the level 5 runes he had on him were able to increase it by 27 times. However, the increase after reaching level 7 was pitifully small. Embedding a total of 27 runes only increased it by 4 times. It should be because the genetic chain hasn't been activated yet. Huh? Yi Zichen felt like he was a retard after coming to the universe. Almost everything he said, he did not understand any of it. From the initial genetic breakthrough to the genetic peak and now genetic chain. Genetic chain is the activation of attribute. Do you understand? Bei Li knew that Yi Zichen might not be able to understand even if he explained it in too much detail, so he used the simplest method to explain. In short, it's similar to the attributes of equipment sets or gems in games. You activate certain attributes based on how many gems you have. When the gems reach a certain level, and the amount you have reaches a certain level, the activation of attributes will increase. Oh, all of a sudden, Yi Zichen revealed a look of understanding. This whole thing, there's actually such a thing about genetic breakthrough. That's how the genetic breakthrough in the first universe worked. The increase is actually very small when absorbing genetic stones, but when you absorb a certain amount, such as 10, 100, 1,000, your genes will have a very clear increase. Your rune stone system should be the same. Although the genetic breakthrough here seems to be more advanced than the first universe, some of the problems with origin generals won't change. Understood. Yi Zichen nodded heavily in response to Bei Li's reply. If it's according to what he said, all 830 apertures in his body. All 200 strength apertures. I wonder how long it'll take. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. Yi Zichen sat cross-legged on the ground once again. What are you going to do now? I have to try the others as well, Yi Zichen said matter-of-factly. Yi Zichen said matter-of-factly. I've already embedded an offensive talisman, who knows if the defensive talisman can still be used. You still want to increase your physique and vitality? Yi Zichen had already mentioned that his vitality was 36 times. It had already surpassed the peak. He actually wants to break through again? What's your physique? The same as strength, said Yizichin. I feel like I should be able to embed around 27 if there are no surprises. You're a demon, right? Bailey finally understood Yizichin's thoughts. He wants all of his attributes to surpass the peak. But for some reason, Bailey was looking forward to Yizichin breaking through. Wouldn't it be a good memory to witness a person who can surpass the theoretical peak of the Lord of the Galaxy in all of his attributes? No wonder the Lord of the Galaxy told me to follow Yizichin. This young man, he has a future. Sure, but I know, I'll definitely take them off if you tell me to. Don't worry, I definitely won't mess around. With that, Yizichin took out a rune stone from his backpack. Replace. 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 It was already half an hour later when Yizichin replaced all of the rune stones to their current limit. Bailey stood silently on his shoulder. He was already unable to find any words to describe his impression of Yizichin. This person, it's fortunate that I wasn't born in the human race more than 100,000 years earlier. If I was in the human race back then I might have already been wiped out by the humans. Too terrifying. He really did it. He still vaguely remembered the Lord of the Galaxy mentioning genes to him. While he was on the run, the Lord of the Galaxy instilled a lot of knowledge into him, as if he was making arrangements for his death. That was also why Bailey knew so much about the human race. All of it, the Lord of the Galaxy instilled it into him. The Lord of the Galaxy told him that his theoretical peak could also be broken. There were indeed people in the human race who could break through it. Breaking through 3 attribute. Anyway, Bailey didn't know who. He looked at Yizichin, who was smiling foolishly on the ground. Who would have thought that this young man, whose clothes were drenched in sweat, breaking through the genetic peak in all 3 attribute. Strength 32. 4 times physique 33. 2 times life force 38. 8 times elemental attack resistance 20 times. For some reason, Bailey felt that as long as he was given enough time, he could break through elemental attack resistance and elemental attack. No matter what, he was only in the 2nd level of the star body realm. The numbers given by the Lord of the Galaxy were all based on the peak. He still had 7 more levels to go. There was still a long way to go for genetic breakthroughs in the future. Will he reach 2 times the theoretical peak of the Lord of the Galaxy? Bailey couldn't help but wonder. If he could reach that level, as long as he didn't die along the way, he would definitely have a place in the human race in the future. No, he wanted to take back his words. It wasn't as simple as a place in the human race. He could bring the human race to a higher level. This feels pretty good. Yizichin grinned as he lay on the ground. Yizichin grinned as he lay on the ground. When he broke through to the next level, he could feel his boundless life force coursing through his body. This feeling, it was like the goddess of life Su Yen. It was as if his life force was inexhaustible. He really wondered if he could achieve an undying body if he continued breaking through. Roar! At that moment, the flaming lion, who was napping in the courtyard, suddenly stood up. It looked forward and roared anxiously. This warning, it was obvious that danger was approaching them. He looked around. There were no signs of ferocious beast. In other words, someone was coming. Chapter 2376. Flaming Lion. After reaching the star state, its eyes flashed with vigilance. From his muffled breathing, he could feel the restlessness and uneasiness in its heart. Yizichin also squinted his eyes. He looked around. Outside the vast and empty mountains, the bright and clear night revealed a strange feeling. So far, Yizichin hadn't seen anyone appear in his line of sight. The flaming lion's sense of smell was very sharp. Berserk beasts generally had a strong sense of territory. If someone enters what they consider to be their territory, they will be alerted. He's here. Suddenly Yizichin, who still hadn't seen anyone, grinned. A gust of wind brushed past his face. Not long after, from afar, they could see clusters of torches raised high. There seemed to be at least 20 people, and there were quite a number of stellar-level experts among them. They come with ill intentions. Bailey also saw the people in the distance as he stood on Yizichen's shoulder. Isn't that better? All of a sudden, Yizichen twisted his neck and looked at the aggressive guys in the distance. I was just worried about not having anyone to practice on, but these people ran over by themselves. It's truly like someone sent me a pillow just when I was sleepy. Haha, that makes sense. Hearing Yizichen's words, Bailey also laughed. He had just achieved a breakthrough not long ago. His genes had increased by dozens of times. He also wanted to see how far it could go. He could also try it out. Is what Yizichen said true? Or is the definition of gene levels here different from the first universe? To be honest, in fact, Bailey still found it hard to believe. It broke through the peak of 30 times. It was as easy as drinking water. Yizichen believed that there were definitely people who did it intentionally, but at the very least they had to go through a lot of trouble. Yizichen only used less than 6 hours from the moment he received the rune stone to the moment he finished breaking through. It was a little exaggerated. Have you figured it out? It's a small house here, right? A white-robed elder walked in the middle of the torches with his hands behind his back, while the person beside him was the young man from the Liu family who had caused trouble for Yizichen not long ago. He, who was arrogant and unruly, was very obedient in front of this old man. He carefully stood half a step behind. They nodded and bowed. He was like a little eunuch who slandered the emperor in ancient times. This is it. I'm definitely not wrong. Are you sure that young man has 6 flaming lions? The old man asked again, and the young man quickly answered, That's right, there were 6 of them. One of them even broke through to the star state. Many people in the town saw it. You should know about it too. I know a little. The old man nodded slightly. The flaming lion was a spirit beast. In their town, only the mayor's house had one. Even so, this flaming lion was also a great deterrent to the other clans. 6 flaming lions appeared. The impact on their town was naturally not small. As an old man, he was not deaf to what was happening outside, so he naturally had some understanding of it. Lu Qing, if you can capture these blazing lions, I will remember your great merit. Yes, great-grandfather. Lu Qing nodded vigorously. Great merit. If nothing unexpected happened, the position of clan leader of the branch family would definitely fall on his head in the future. Third brother, isn't it not good that we didn't inform the ancestral clan this time? At this moment, another person who was about the same age and appearance as the old man stood up and said, The flaming lions are of great importance. The ancestral clan must have heard about it too. Now that we are back, why should we tell them? The old man's expression revealed unfriendliness. They were clearly a branch family of the Liu family, but they didn't have much of a good impression of the ancestral clan, that was the mayor. The competition for resources has always been the branch family of the Zhong family. Just because the flaming lions are important, we have to give them to them. No, of course I don't mean that. The old man in a black robe replied, I'm just worried that if we bring the flaming lions back, what should we do when the ancestral clan comes to find us? It's impossible that they don't have information about the flaming lions. They should have known when we came out. Until now, there are only our people here. Could it be that they deliberately let us come here, and when we bring the lions back, they will come to snatch them from us? How dare they? The old man narrowed his eyes. Fifth brother, if we have 6 flaming lions, why would they come to us for it? What right do they have? Do you think that cosmic system state will help them? Let me tell you this. When we can get these flaming lions, we will be the ancestral clan. The old man's eyes were filled with passion. No one wanted to be inferior to others. He knew very well that cosmic system state of the ancestral clan would never become a thug for the ancestral clan. He came to their town to find a suitable target to groom. Fortunately, he was interested in the ancestral clan. However, The old man knew very well that he wasn't interested in the ancestral clan's background. He was interested in the ancestral clan's power. If they could get the flaming lions, the family's power would surpass the ancestral clan. They could then ban the ancestral clan. They would become the new ancestral clan. Third brother, you want to. Fifth brother, we can't always be suppressed by the boss. What right does he have? I believe you don't like him either. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come with me to this branch family, the old man said. The old man hesitated for a moment and nodded. They were actually brothers. It was just a pity that they didn't get along well with each other. Among them, he had a better relationship with the old man in front of him. Ancestral clan. Eldest brother and fourth brother had a better relationship. Second brother was traveling outside. He didn't interfere with family matters. In fact, he came with the old man not because he didn't like the eldest brother, but because he wanted to vent his anger. In that case, what do you have to worry about? The old man narrowed his eyes. Take the flaming lions back. With our 2 lions, it's easy to subdue a planetary state flame beast. As for the other flaming lions, we have 20 planetary states this time. Those flaming lions won't be able to do much. But what are you? The old man frowned. There was one thing he didn't like about fifth brother, which was his indecisiveness. He was always overcautious in everything he did. He knew a little about what happened back then. This was the reason why fifth brother left the ancestral clan to find him. To be honest, he didn't want to hurt fifth brother. He would end up in that situation. It was his indecisiveness that harmed him. I heard that this is the territory of a cosmic system state beast, fifth brother said hesitantly. Cosmic system, yes. Why don't I believe there's a cosmic system state here? We're already here. Whether we can turn things around depends on this gamble. Regardless, let's just pretend there really is one here. We'll just end this quickly. The old man sneered. His eyes were filled with disdain. I don't believe that an animal can trap us if we want to leave. Chapter 2377. Old Five, who was standing next to the old man, did not respond. Cosmic system state beast. Beasts had a certain advantage over humans. Even a newly advanced cosmic state flame lion would require a few level 5 cosmic state beings to deal with. If there really was a cosmic system state beast here, what could they do to them? He was afraid that all of them would be left behind here. He didn't refute. He just didn't want to offend the old man. Back then, he lost the race for the leader's position and was sent to the branch family. He had always been unhappy with the current leader of the Liu family. He hoped that the branch family could replace the main family. Now it was his chance to get these 6 flame lions. How could he give up? He hoped that the rumor of this being the territory of a cosmic system state beast was just a rumor. Otherwise, he would end this quickly. If there really was a cosmic system state beast here, this place might become the graveyard of their branch family if they angered it. The branch family would not be able to recover from this setback. One must know that for the sake of these flaming lions, almost all the elites of the branch family had come. The leader of the Liu family walked at the front. Old Five had been carefully observing the surrounding situation. The night here was really unsettling. Even the blowing wind was chilly and strange. Stop! All of a sudden, Old Five gestured for everyone to stop. What is it now? The old man frowned. He regretted bringing Old Five along. Along the way, he had been being overcautious and affecting the morale. Now, he suddenly caused trouble. If it wasn't for the fact that Old Five's strength was similar to his, he wouldn't have brought Old Five here because he wasn't confident that he could deal with the star-level flaming lion. Second brother, don't you feel strange? Old Five frowned. How? Ever since we came here, it has been too quiet. Old Five narrowed his eyes and looked around carefully. Theoretically, this should be the active area of beasts, but we haven't seen a single beast along the way. Also, don't you feel that the atmosphere here is strange? It's like something is watching us. I feel that too. a stellar-level person in the crowd said. Not long after, many people began to nod. Don't be an alarmist. The old man scolded angrily. All right, we don't need you for this operation. Go back. If this continued, they wouldn't have to capture the fiery lion, and they would be scared out of their wits by Old Fifth. To be honest, in fact, the old man also felt that something was wrong. But now that he had come this far, there was no way for him to go back, and he didn't want to give up this opportunity. Hey! Right at this moment, laughter sounded out from afar. Yizichin tilted his head, while the flaming lion, who had just broken through to the star level, stood beside him. The man and the lion stood where they were. Under the night light, his reflection reflected on the ground, facing the Liu family. That's him. The youth's eyes were sharp. He immediately recognized Yizichin. Without the young man saying anything, the old man could roughly guess what was going on. He didn't recognize Yizichin, but he could tell that Yizichin's spiritual beast was a flaming lion. Star rank. The aura released by the flaming lion was indeed of the star rank. Go! The old man waved his hand, then glanced at Old Fifth before leaving. If you want to go back, then go back. Second brother is going, so how could I leave by myself? Old Fifth let out a deep sigh, then continued to look around vigilantly. For some reason, the closer they got to the straw hut, the stronger the strange feeling and the feeling of being stared at. It was only a few 100 meters away. However, the Liu family took 5 whole minutes to get there. You guys are really slow. Yizichin squinted his eyes and smiled towards them, while his tone was filled with anticipation. You were waiting for us? The old man asked. He subconsciously paused when he saw Yizichin. He could feel that Yizichin was of the star level. However, he didn't expect this star level to be so young. This sort of young star level was either a genius or a child raised by some large family. Perhaps, or he was from the upper circles. Anyway, the old man had never seen such a young stellar-level warrior in his town in so many years. Young. Star level. 6 flaming lions as spiritual beasts. He can't really be from the upper circles, right? For some reason, the old man squinted his eyes and felt suspicious. At the start, he still wanted to snatch the flaming lions from Yizichin's hands. But now, his mentality had already changed. If he really was a young master of the upper circles, snatching his spiritual beasts, even if they could take over the position of the clan, they wouldn't be able to withstand the rage of the upper circles. Of course, if he could deal with it well, this might be a heaven-sent opportunity. Why was the clan able to take over the previous mayor and become the ruler of the town? Wasn't it because of that star system level expert? The few towns of their level didn't have any star system level experts at all. Thus, it could be seen that the star system level expert was from the upper circles. If it was possible, if he could befriend this person who was suspected to be a young master of the upper circles, wouldn't he still be able to obtain the qualifications to compete? Perhaps his future achievements would be even greater, and he would be able to look at even higher planes, breaking through the shackles of a level. This could be said to be everyone's dream. Who wouldn't want to see the outside world after living in a place for so long? Brat, don't be cocky again. The young man walked up with a smug look on his face. Not long ago, he was afraid of the star-level flaming lion, so he had no choice but to return in defeat. This time, the Liu family had sent out all of their elites to ensure that nothing would go wrong. The flaming lion was determined to win. Back down. To his surprise, before the youth could say anything else, the elder ordered him to back down. The old man angrily ordered him to step back. Shortly after, the old man walked over with a smile in his eyes. Gee! All of a sudden, Yizichin was confused. These people didn't come to fight. Just what does this geezer want? Unknown name. Future. In the second universe, Yizichin was going to use the name Future. This old man is Liu Tianhe, the head of a branch of the Liu family, the elder smiled. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and looked at him for a long time. And then, I feel like this geezer isn't here to cause trouble. This put Yi Zichen in a very difficult position. He desperately wanted to find something to practice on. If these people aren't here to cause trouble, he can't exactly reach out and slap a smiling person, right? The flaming lion seemed to be confused. Yi Zichen swept his gaze over the Lu family members. Then, Lu Tianhe cupped his hands towards Yi Zichen. I want to be friends with you. Chapter 2378. They were dumbfounded. Everyone from the Lu family looked at Lu Tianhe in shock. Before he came here, Lu Tianhe had sworn that he was here to snatch the blazing lion. Right now, he had already seen the person and the flaming lion was right beside him. He could just attack directly. Why did he suddenly, at this moment, some of the more perceptive people in the crowd had already noticed something. Young. Star rank. He had the flaming lion as his spiritual beast. It wasn't that the clan head didn't want to fight for the flaming lion, but after seeing the young man's strength and spirit beast, he changed his mind. Making friends with such a big lineup? Yi Zichen looked at Lu Tianhe with a faint smile. He roughly knew what the old man was thinking. Little friend, please don't misunderstand. Lu Tianhe smiled and explained, this place is suspected to be the territory of Cosmic System State Beasts. I had no choice but to bring more people here for safety. Are you sure? These old fellows were really shameless. Lying was like drinking water. His face didn't even turn red. Even Yi Zichen felt like the old man's excuse was lame. Actually, he could have given the old man a way out, but he didn't want to. He didn't like the Lu family at all. If there was anyone to blame, it was this young man from the Lu family. Arrogant and despotic. He didn't want to leave a good impression. Things had already gone sour before. Was there any leeway to ease the situation? This is the territory of Cosmic System State Beasts. What's the use of having a bunch of Star State warriors? Yi Zichen grinned. Are you trying to protect yourself, or are you trying to bring them to hell with you? Kid! The young man raised his finger and rebuked. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and glanced at him, then looked towards Lu Tianhe. I know why you're here, and there's nothing to pretend about. Aren't you here for my flaming lion? I can also clearly tell you that my identity is exactly what you think it is. So, are you going or staying? My future little friend is really... Lu Tianhe wanted to say something, but then stopped. Perhaps he didn't expect Yi Zichen to not give him any face, so he didn't know how to resolve the situation. What? How refreshing! Lu Tianhe laughed heartily. He stopped pretending and nodded. That's right, I did come here for the blazing lion. I can see that my future friend is also an understanding person. You should also be able to understand how great the temptation of the blazing lion is to us aristocratic families. That's why you're here to snatch it? Yi Zichen asked. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Lu Tianhe spoke. Resources had to be snatched. Today you snatched from me. Tomorrow I'll snatch from you. This was something that couldn't be any more normal. That was right. Yi Zichen nodded. When I first learned of my future friend's existence, it was normal for me to want to fight for it. He was right. Yi Zichen preferred to speak frankly like this in contrast to his previous hypocrisy. Isn't that it? You have a treasure on you, and I see that you are weak, so I will snatch it from you. Yi Zichen could naturally understand that. This phenomenon was not only seen in the universe, but also in the Milky Way, and even in ancient times on Earth. Seize the city. Robbing money, robbing food, robbing women. Wasn't it all robbery? Since you're here to snatch the blazing lion, there's nothing more to say. Let's see who's the real deal. Yi Zichen clenched his fist. At that moment, he desperately wanted to find a few opponents to test the effects of his gene breakthrough. If you can fight, try not to talk. Little friend, don't worry. I don't have that kind of thought anymore. Lu Tianhe extended his hand with a smile and said sincerely, I would like to invite you to be a guest of the Lu clan. Ha! Little friend, don't worry. guests don't need to listen to the family's orders, and you can even enjoy the family's offerings every year. No one in the family has the right to order you around. If little friend doesn't like it, then you can leave at any time. No one will stop little friend. Lu Tianhe directly gave Yi Zichen the greatest amount of freedom. If it was anyone else, it would be very hard for them to resist such a temptation. Grandpa, family head. Everyone in the Lu family was shocked. In the several hundred years since the branch family was established, there had only been 3 guest chamberlains, and all of them were outstanding figures amongst the star level. Unfortunately, none of them stayed. None of them stayed. Not only did the Lu family not get any talents, they even wasted a lot of resources. This caused the branch family to fall behind the main family's younger generation for a period of time. After 100 years, they were finally able to catch up. From then on, Lu Tianhe ordered that the branch family would not recruit any guest chamberlains in the future. Right now, he had once again broken the rules that he had set up. How about it? Lu Tianhe's eyes revealed sincerity. Of course he remembered the family rule that he once set, but he was willing to break it for the future of the Lu family. It didn't matter whether Yi Zichen really came from the upper circle or not. He already had the strength of the star level at such a young age. Was his talent not enough for him to offer an olive branch? What's more, if he could join the Lu family as a guest chamberlain, that meant that there would be 6 more flame lions joining. Even if they couldn't assign them as they wished, that would be quite a bit of deterrence for the other families. From Lu Tianhe's perspective, actually, the possibility of Yi Zichen coming from the upper circle was rather high. He could tell. Yi Zichen was definitely someone who had been through a lot. His expression didn't change even when facing MT Tai. He didn't show any fear even when facing several tens of star-level experts of the Lu family. Such confidence. Either he was absolutely confident in his own strength, or he had a trump card that the Lu family didn't see. He knew all of the families in the town. He had never seen Yi Zichen before, nor did he have any impression of him. Trump card after trump card. Shocking talent. If he wasn't a guest from the upper circle, then who else could he be? As long as he was willing to join, Lu Tianhe didn't believe that he couldn't change Yi Zichen and make him serve the Lu family wholeheartedly. He wanted money. Give him money. If he needed resources, then he would give him resources. Even if he wanted women, Lu Tianhe was willing to marry his daughter to him. That was the advantage brought by talent. As long as you had strength and talent, you could do well no matter where you went. According to what you said, the status of a guest chamberlain in your family is very high. Second only to me. Lu Tianhe replied solemnly. Don't worry, I will never ask you to do something you don't like. I can order others around? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. Right. I can make him do anything? As long as you don't let him die, or make a decision that harms the family. I can give you enough authority to make them obey your orders without question. Lu Tianhe nodded. Good. Yi Zichen nodded in satisfaction, then looked towards the young man in front of him. Kneel. Chapter 2379. Kneel. Lu Qing was completely stunned on the spot as Yi Zichen's words echoed in his mind. Make me kneel? The person in front of me actually made me kneel? I told you to kneel. Yi Zichen stared into his eyes with a hint of playfulness. You're seeking death. All of a sudden, Lu Qing roared angrily with bloodshot eyes. I'm the future head of the branch family. This idiot actually dared to tell me to kneel. Enraged, Lu Qing raised his fist and swung it forward. Just as he was about to make his move, a clear slap landed on his face, sending him flying several meters. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth as he landed on the ground. The left side of his face was red and swollen, while his teeth were a bit loose. Kneel! Lu Tianhe roared angrily with an imposing aura. Lu Qing's eyes were filled with confusion. He covered his face as he looked at Lu Tianhe. I kneel. Lu Tianhe didn't give him any time to speak at all. Yi Zichen also took advantage of Lu Qing's silence to smile at him. After a long silence, everyone in the Lu family looked at Lu Qing, who was on the ground. Back in the family, Lu Qing was loved by Lu Tianhe. Everyone knew that if there were no accidents, he should be the next successor of the family. He was used to being domineering in both the family and the town, so everyone gave in to him. If they were disrespectful to him, nobody knew if he would cause trouble for them after inheriting the position of the family head. But now Lu Tianhe actually made Lu Qing kneel for the young man in front of him. Do I need to say it again? Lu Qing clenched his teeth, then slowly knelt on the ground and faced Yi Zichen. Apologize. Yi Zichen did not let it go. He even walked in front of Lu Qing and looked down at him. Hearing that, Lu Qing clenched his fist once again. After a long while, he let out a deep sigh. Yi Zichen could clearly feel the anger burning in his heart from his eyes. Sorry. Lu Qing lowered his head and said silently, as if he was squeezed out from between his teeth. Hearing that, Yi Zichen laughed. He reached out his hand and patted Lu Qing's shoulders a few times, then squatted down and stared into his eyes. Don't be so arrogant in the future. Who can be sure? Is he someone you have to kneel before? Lu Tianhe stood up from the ground with a smile on his face. He didn't look too good. No matter what, Lu Qing still valued the price. When he knelt, it was as if he was representing the separation of the family. However, he also knew that Lu Qing had a personal grudge with Yi Zichen. In Lu Tianhe's eyes, it was more important to gain Yi Zichen's favor. Future guest elder, are you satisfied? Lu Tianhe let out a long sigh. However, Yi Zichen ignored him and walked in front of the other star-level cultivators. Kneel. Future honored guest. The Star Realm expert of the Lu clan frowned. Yi Zichen had a grudge with Lu Qing. It was one thing for Yi Zichen to kneel, but now he wanted them to kneel as well. Did he really think that he was above everyone else in the Lu family? I told you to kneel. Yi Zichen didn't care about the expression and words of the person in front of him at all. He merely stared at him. Future honored guest, does he have a grudge with you as well? Lu Tianhe walked over with a frown. Yi Zichen shrugged. No, I just want him to kneel. Didn't you say that as a honored guest, they have to listen to whatever I say? I'm just telling them to kneel. It's not like I'm harming the family's interests or asking them to die, right? Future honored guest. I'm asking you, can they kneel or not? Yi Zichen's expression darkened as he questioned Lu Tianhe. What do you mean? Suddenly, Lu Tianhe's expression darkened. Honored guests do have a very high status in the family, but you can't just insult their dignity. Did I? Yi Zichen revealed a confused expression, as if he was a bit disappointed. I just want to experience what it's like to be a honored guest. You told me yourself. Could it be that everything you said just now was fake? Of course not. Since that's the case, then why can't they kneel? Yi Zichen shrugged. Or do you feel that their dignity is more important than the future of your branch family? Future honored guest, hearing that, Lu Tianhe was stunned. If I didn't hear wrong, Yi Zichen mentioned the future of the family. Kneel. Lu Tianhe roared angrily at the star-level expert after a brief moment of hesitation. Compared to the future of the family, so what if I make all of them kneel down? The stellar-level expert stared at Lu Tianhe for half a minute as if he had heard something that shocked him the most. Hurry up! And the rest of you, all of you, kneel and talk to me while kneeling. Yi Zichen pointed at the others. All of the star-level experts of the Lu family were pointed out by Yi Zichen. Hurry up and kneel! Lu Tianhe roared angrily. 3 of the 20 star-level experts kneeled on the ground under Lu Tianhe's roar, while 10 odd remained standing. Some of them even turned around and left as if they were unable to endure the humiliation. Wait! Yi Zichen ran over just as the people who were about to leave turned around. What is it? A middle-aged man with a buzz cut and a sharp gaze spoke up. We no longer serve the Lu family. Don't you dare insult us anymore. How could I? Yi Zichen smiled. I just wanted to ask if you guys are interested in following me. I like people with backbone the most. Future guest Chamberlain, what do you mean by that? Lu Tianhe frowned and said, Who's the future guest Chamberlain? Who is the future guest Elder? Do I know you? Yi Zichen suddenly tilted his head and looked at Lu Tianhe. You keep saying future guest Chamberlain. You make it sound like I really want to join you guys. Can you not think too highly of yourself? Did I say that I want to be your family's guest chamberlain? Then just now, I just wanted to try and play. I've had enough, so I don't want to play anymore. Yi Zichen stretched lazily, then ignored Lu Tianhe. Instead, he looked towards the star-level experts who had more backbone. Do you want to follow me? Think about it. My subordinates are very free. I'm definitely not like Lu Tianhe, who would give up on the dignity of his subordinates for the sake of the family. I just need you to be absolutely loyal to me. Thus, Yi Zichen invited them in front of the Lu family. Lu Tianhe, who stood behind him, couldn't help but tremble. I was actually tricked. Utter humiliation. Utter humiliation. You're seeking death. Lu Tianhe roared, then reached out towards Yi Zichen with bloodshot eyes. He no longer cared about the future of the Lu family, nor did he want to recruit Yi Zichen. Since I can't get him, then I'll destroy him. Chapter 2380. Yi Zichen's aura surged. Not even half a breath's worth of time had passed since Lu Tianhe attacked. He finally saw through it. From the very start, Yi Zichen had never wanted to join the Lu family. They had been toyed with the entire time. In order to invite him into the family, he actually made all the star-level experts of the family kneel down. Go die. His fist was filled with cosmic energy. In his anger, Lu Tianhe's punch could be said to have unleashed all his strength. He no longer cared about whether or not Yi Zichen was from the upper circle. All he wanted to do was kill him and take the flaming lion. All he had to do was kill him. Everything had been done without anyone knowing. So what if someone from the upper circle had come? Yi Zichen smiled coldly at Lu Tianhe's sudden attack. Yi Zichen sneered silently with his back to him. He didn't do anything in response. He simply allowed the old man to attack, while he continued to stare at the former Lu family star-level experts. How about it? Do you want to think about it? Go to hell. Boom. Lu Tianhe's fist landed heavily on Yi Zichen's back. Lu Qing and the Lu family experts, who were kneeling on the ground, subconsciously revealed cruel smiles. It seemed like Yi Zichen didn't even have time to react. This punch would most likely take his life. Countless people were waiting for Yi Zichen to cough up blood. However, Yi Zichen continued to stand in front of them as if he didn't feel anything. He even faced the experts who had left the Lu family. Are you coming or not? Just tell me. I'm telling you, you won't get another chance like this. How is that possible? Lu Tianhe's face was also filled with shock. He could feel that the punch had indeed landed. He could also feel the energy leaking out. Why didn't Yi Zichen react at all? Dong dong dong. Yi Zichen punched out several more times. Lu Tianhe used 100% of his strength for each round. Still no reaction. Why can't you guys speak? Yi Zichen tilted his head at them, then let out a long sigh as if he had lost his patience. When he turned around, he saw Lu Tianhe's eyes filled with shock. Yi Zichen looked down and saw that Lu Tianhe's fist was still on his back. What, you ambushed me? You damn geezer, you're so shameless. You actually ambushed me. Yi Zichen shouted with his eyes wide open. The shock in Lu Tianhe's eyes intensified, then he suddenly leapt back several tens of meters after a few seconds. He stared at his own fist in shock. He was a 6th-layer star body cultivator. The gauntlet in his hand was also a star-grade weapon. No matter how you looked at it, Yi Zichen was only a 2nd-layer star body cultivator. Yet, despite facing Lu Tianhe, who possessed a stellar-grade weapon and was at the 6th layer of the star realm, he was completely unscathed. Old man, this is a bit too much. Yi Zichen pointed at Lu Tianhe with a displeased expression. If you want to fight, you should say so in advance. What kind of hero is a sneak attack? Don't worry, even if you don't sneak attack, I won't bully the old man for the sake of humanitarianism. How about this, I'll give you 3 punches. Yi Zichen hooked his finger towards Lu Tianhe, then stood in front of him with his hands on his waist. Courting death. Lu Tianhe flew into a rage. Gathering strength under his feet, he punched out again. It did not move at all. Never mind retreating, Yi Zichen didn't even sway. 1 punch. Yi Zichen pointed. Lu Tianhe didn't believe him, so he punched out several more times. Use some more strength. Are you not full yet? Can't you let me feel a bit? What? Are you so old that your limbs are weak? You. Lu Tianhe glared at Yi Zichen. His neck was bright red from anger. Just as he was about to attack Yi Zichen again, Yi Zichen seemed to have thought of something. Right, you punched 3 times just now, didn't you? Then he saw Yi Zichen grin. Then I'll punch you back. Yi Zichen didn't use any weapons, just a punch of pure strength. His fist landed on Lu Tianhe's abdomen. The fist force seemed to have pierced right through Lu Tianhe. The resulting fist force swept up a strong gale and Lu Tianhe was sent flying several meters away. Not bad. Yi Zichen looked at Lu Tianhe, who had been sent flying like a punching bag, then subconsciously looked down at his own fist. Bailey, what do you think? The data was correct. Judging from the strength Yi Zichen had just released, Bailey had to admit that the data was real. That was the conclusion he reached. Yi Zichen nodded with a satisfied smile. Even without Bailey, Yi Zichen could still feel the change in his strength when he punched. He was a level 2 star level expert. He was able to send a level 6 star level expert flying several hundred meters without any external assistance. Ever since he was sent flying, Lu Tianhe had not climbed up from the ground. Yi Zichen didn't know whether Yi Zichen had killed him with a single punch. Anyway, his genes had indeed made a breakthrough. Yi Zichen couldn't feel any change in his defense. With the hollow ores set, not to mention 3 punches from Lu Tianhe, even 300 punches wouldn't have any effect. Yi Zichen's defense did increase after obtaining the hollow ores set. But when facing an enemy, not having any offensive power had always been a problem for him. Now that his genes had made a breakthrough, the effects seemed pretty good. This also solved the problem of Yi Zichen being only able to defend and not attack. Family head. After a long while, the star-level experts of the Lu family finally reacted and hurriedly ran towards Lu Tianhe. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and smiled at them. What family head? Come and find me. With that, an afterimage flashed past. Dong dong dong. In less than 2 minutes, all of the Lu family members were on the ground, covered in blood. Yi Zichen finished them off. Yi Zichen still had a bored expression on his face. Boring. These star-level experts weren't enough for him. Never mind fighting to his heart's content, they hadn't even warmed up enough. The people who had left the Lu family. All of them looked at the people on the ground in shock. In their hearts, they rejoiced at their wise decision. If they hadn't left, they might have ended up like the people on the ground. After dealing with everyone, Yi Zichen reached out towards Lu Qing. From the moment Yi Zichen finished off Lu Tianhe with a single punch, Lu Qing had been playing dead on the ground in fear that Yi Zichen would cause trouble for him. Playing dead? Yi Zichen reached out, grabbed his clothes, and lifted him up. Senior, don't be afraid. Yi Zichen smiled. I won't hit you. Hurry up and take these people back. Next time, find more people, got it? No. Senior, this junior won't HM? Senior, please spare me. This junior was confused. This junior definitely won't cause trouble for you anymore. Yi Zichen tilted his head and looked at Lu Qing. Under Yi Zichen's gaze, Lu Qing felt like he was being hung on the edge of a cliff. Senior, I'm telling you to find more. This junior really doesn't dare. I'm telling you to find more. Yi Zichen slapped Lu Qing's face, then pointed at his face with a frown. Continue to find more people. If I don't see anyone cause trouble for me tomorrow, then I'll go to the Lu family and twist your head off. Senior, do you understand? Yes, I understand. F***ck off. Yi Zichen chucked Lu Qing onto the ground. How could I not? Yi Zichen had wanted more people to cause trouble for him. That way, he would be able to test the limits of his strength more directly. If I don't, how could Yi Zichen be happy? Yi Zichen watched as Lu Qing scrambled out. This unfilial descendant didn't even care about Lu Tianhe for his own survival. Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered with that. He tilted his head and looked towards the people who weren't beaten up. How about it? Have you thought it through? Chapter 2381. They just witnessed the Lu family's complete annihilation. The former Lu family star experts couldn't help but gulp in response to Yi Zichen's question. Lu Tianhe was a 6th-layer star body expert. Yi Zichen had knocked them unconscious with a single punch. They were all 1st and 2nd-layer star bodies. It wasn't a matter of whether they wanted to join, it was a matter of whether they dared to refuse. If they pissed Yi Zichen off, after a few punches they'd all die here. Don't be too afraid. I'm a reasonable person. Yi Zichen stood in front of the thatched hut and grinned at them, then shook his head, walked up to them, and patted one of them on the shoulder. When his palm came down, the man subconsciously dodged. It was just that Yi Zichen had left too deep of an impression in their hearts, so much so that they wondered if they would be able to endure it. Join or leave. It's up to you. I won't force you to stay. A melon forcibly picked isn't sweet. I understand that. In truth, Yi Zichen hadn't decided to recruit them on a whim. He'd started recruiting them right in front of Lu Tianhe and the others. He wanted to use this method to intensify the conflict between the two sides, provoke them into attacking him, and then destroy them. That way, it wouldn't seem like he was a violent criminal who would attack at the slightest disagreement. He would attack. He had no choice. Lu Tianhe and the others had come to kill him. He couldn't just sit around and wait for death, so he defended himself. As for now, they were lying on the ground. If they wanted to blame someone, they could only blame themselves for not being strong enough to take a beating. Yi Zichen was confident in his ability to reason things out. In any case, the Lu family had provoked him first. He'd had no choice but to fight back. He wanted to recruit the Lu family's people. In truth, Yi Zichen had high hopes for them. Those who'd knelt in response to Lu Tianhe's scolding were people who didn't even care about their dignity. There was no point in keeping them. Spineless people weren't worth Yi Zichen's energy. As for the ones before him, they weren't the strongest of the Lu family's people, but Yi Zichen liked their temperaments. Furthermore, Chaos City needed to replenish its experts. If they could get a few star-level experts to join them, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. That was one of the reasons Yi Zichen had come to the upper realms. The villages around Chaos City had far too few star-level experts. If he really wanted to replenish his strength, he'd have to go to the center of the city. Well, do you have any ideas? Sorry. A middle-aged man stepped forward, smiled apologetically at Yi Zichen, then turned and left. It could be seen from his actions. He wasn't planning on joining Yi Zichen's Chaos City. At their level, every decision had to be carefully considered. Although Yi Zichen's strength was decent, Yi Zichen didn't care. Not only was he able to instantly kill a 6th-stage star body cultivator, but he also had a flaming lion. With his strength and spirit beast, it was enough to establish a sizable clan in the town and have a good status. Unfortunately, he had offended the Lu family. The main family and the branch families didn't interfere with each other, but in the end, they all came from the Lu family. This time, the Lu clan's branch family had suffered such a heavy blow. How could the main clan sit back and do nothing? The other members of the Lu family could not care less. But don't forget, the Lu family still had a star body level expert. Ol Huang. When they saw someone leave, others tried to urge him to stay. Everyone, farewell. The middle-aged man smiled and cupped his hands, then disappeared into the silent night. Yi Zichen did as he'd said. He didn't obstruct him in the slightest. After he left, he crossed his arms and looked at the remaining four. "What do you say?" I'm willing to follow you, Your Excellency." "Me too." "I'm willing." In an instant, 3 of the 4 expressed their opinions. Yi Zichen nodded and looked at the last person. Just like Ol Huang, he smiled apologetically at Yi Zichen, then left the thatched hut. 2 of the 5 had left, but 3 remained. The 3 people who were left behind frowned as they looked at the back of the person who left. The 5 of them had always been on good terms with each other. Their personalities were similar. They interacted more often than not. When they saw 2 of their good friends leave, they couldn't help but feel a bit sad. Everyone has their own ambitions. Yi Zichen smiled, then looked at the 3. "I still don't know what to call you." "Sai." "Hey." "Lu Tianhai." The introductions of the first 2 were fine, but when the last person said his name, Yi Zichen was completely stunned. "Lu Tianhai. This feeling is similar to Lu Tianhe. Lu Tianhe is my older brother," Lu Tianhai smiled wryly. He was the OL-5 who had been trying to persuade Lu Tianhe not to act rashly. He was also one of the members who was leaving the family. Lu Tianhe's decision at that time was too shameful for him. All for the sake of gaining Yi Zichen's favor. He was willing to exchange the dignity of everyone in the family for Yi Zichen. That was no longer a decision he could tolerate. Although Lu Tianhe was rather arbitrary in the past, at the very least, everything he did was for the sake of the family. But now, it must be hard to have an older brother like that. However, Yi Zichen didn't really mind his identity. "It's all right," Lu Tianhai smiled. Then he looked at Lu Tianhe, who was still lying on the ground. "My lord, I wonder if I can bring my older brother back to town and ask someone to treat him. No matter what, we're brothers, No problem." Yi Zichen nodded without any hesitation. "When you deal with everything, then come back here to find him." "Understood." With that, Lu Tianhai ran in front of Lu Tianhe and let out a long sigh as he looked at the unconscious Lu Tianhe, who was still bleeding from his mouth. If Lu Tianhe had listened to him from the start, "Don't cause trouble for me, Yi Zichen. Why would I end up in such a state?" Lu Tianhai carried Lu Tianhe in his arms, then leapt out of the straw hut. At that moment, Yi Zichen also looked at the 2 people in front of him. The 2 of them seemed to be very afraid of him, and their expressions were very uneasy. "What are you afraid of? You're my subordinate now, can I still hit you?" Yi Zichen sighed towards the 2 of them, then gestured towards them. "Go, strip those people of their clothes." "What?" The 2 star-level experts didn't quite understand what Yi Zichen meant. "Strip them of their clothes." Yi Zichen pointed at the Lu family experts. Yi Zichen pointed at the Lu family experts that nobody cared about. "Take all of their treasures back for me. Collect the spoils of war, understand?" Chapter 2382. In the courtyard by the stream. A white-haired old man was sitting on the ground next to an ancient rock. This place was like a paradise for him. White light surrounded him, and pure cosmic power was infused into his body. About an hour later, the old man slowly opened his eyes and exhaled. He could not help but let out a long sigh. "Am I really going to stop here?" The old man's eyes were full of pity. This was the umpteenth time he had tried to break through to the galaxy system. And he still failed. He was very anxious. He was the first person in the town to reach the 9th tier of the star body realm. At that time, he was so high-spirited and ambitious, saying that he would lead the family to the upper circle. Unfortunately, 1,000 years had passed. There were many capable people in the town, and a few families in the 9th tier of the star body realm were born. Even though they were also trapped here, they could not move forward. Their bold words were not realized. Not to mention leading the family to the upper circle, the position of the town leader no longer belonged to their family. "Ha!" He laughed as if mocking himself. The old man looked up to the northwest. From this courtyard by the stream, he could see the towering bell tower, the town leader's mansion. He might not be able to go back in this lifetime. Master. The old man turned around and saw a woman walking in from the arched door. This woman was breathtakingly beautiful. She was beautiful. Her face was exquisite and natural, and her figure was so graceful that people could not help but fall in love with her. Yao Hua, why are you here? Seeing the woman, the white-haired old man smiled. Don't call me master anymore. You are the master of the Lu family now. You are the master of the Lu family. Father, you know that I am not suitable for the position of master at all. The woman walked over and noticed that the old man's aura was a little chaotic. You tried to break through again? Father, breaking through frequently will hurt your foundation. I know. The old man smiled. But I have no other way out. The woman standing in front of the old man, Yao Hua, was stunned. She knew that the old man was suffering. They used to be in the Lu family town. The Lu family was the town leader for generations, ruling over the families in the town and resisting the ferocious beasts outside the town. But a few years ago, the Lu family suddenly rose. A cosmic system state heavily injured the old man. The Lu family lost the competition for the mayor's position. After that, since then, the old man had been depressed and began to frequently try to break through the shackles of the galaxy. However, all ended in failure. In the past few years, the old man's strength had not improved at all, and it even showed signs of regressing. He lost his position as mayor. The old man was too ashamed to face his ancestors, so he passed the position of the patriarch to Yao Hua and moved the entire clan out of the former Liujia town, the homeland of tens of thousands of years. He left just like that? For this, Lu Yaohua's second brother even quarreled with the old man. In fact, Lu Yaohua was very clear about this. Neither his second brother nor his father were wrong. Second brother didn't want to give up his homeland. Even if the Lu family had declined, he still wanted to protect it. However, his father was trying to find a way out for the Lu family. If the Lu family continued to stay in the same town, the Lu family would definitely be suppressed, and the Lu family would never be able to rise again. No one was in the wrong, but the two stubborn people each had their own opinions. No one was willing to lower their heads. All right, you don't need to care about my matters. The old man let out a long sigh, saying, there should be a lot of things to deal with in the family. If there's nothing, don't come to me. What are you doing here this time? Second brother is back. Lu Yaohua suddenly spoke. The old man sitting on the ground subconsciously trembled. Very quickly, the old man snorted coldly. Why did he come back? Didn't he already cut off all ties with the family? Father, don't say such words out of anger. Lu Yaohua said. In fact, you know very well that second brother is more suitable for the position of the patriarch than me. Back then, the two of you just had a disagreement. I know that neither of you is wrong. After so many years, this knot really can't be untied? The old man still had a straight face. At this moment, Lu Shuiheng slowly walked out from the arched door. He lightly patted Yao Hua's shoulder. He winked at her. Yao Hua gently nodded and left. Lu Shuiheng looked at the back of the old man and silently sat beside him. In fact, when Lu Shuiheng was outside the arched door, the old man already felt it. Seeing him sit down, the old man wasn't surprised. Old man. There's a saying that old men get more stubborn as they get older. It's probably referring to people like you. Lu Shuiheng looked at the old man with a smile. Sensing that the old man was too lazy to care about him, he also smiled. Tianin's domain is already in the 8th layer. Don't mention her to me. Unexpectedly, the old man became even angrier when he heard Tianin. No matter what, she's your granddaughter. You have resentment towards me and Lily, but you can't vent it on Tianin. Lu Shuiheng smiled bitterly. I won't recognize a demon as my granddaughter. The people in the family think that I stayed in town because I had a disagreement with you. We both know why I stayed in town. For that demon woman. Lily is not a demon woman, Lu Shuiheng shouted angrily. I said, she's not a demon woman. Why do you always have that kind of prejudice against Lily? Yes, she's a lotus that has turned into a demon, but she's also a human. Human? The old man was disdainful. I'm here to make it clear to you that I'm staying in town for the sake of the Lu family. Lily felt a strange aura in the town, and that aura came from the Lu family. The two of us have been investigating during this time. Then? Lily is dead. Lu Shuiheng sighed, and his eyes were full of regret. Before she died, she told me of very important information. This information is about the Lu family that we've been investigating. What information? The old man's face turned serious. Why should I tell you? Suddenly, Lu Shuiheng's face revealed a smile. Since you don't recognize Lily, then you're not qualified to listen to this. I thought these years would make you understand us a little, but I didn't expect that you're still so stubborn and inflexible. Even if there's no Lu family, it's only a matter of time before the mayor's position is taken away. Unfilial son, get out! The old man scolded. Yao Hua hurriedly ran in from outside. She saw Lu Shuiheng stand up in front of the old man, his eyes flashing with disappointment. I don't need you to tell me. I can go by myself. After saying that, Lu Shuiheng sneered and turned around to leave. Yao Hua stood in between the old man and Lu Shuiheng. Until Lu Shuiheng completely disappeared, Yao Hua frowned and shouted. Dad, why did you quarrel with second brother again? Bastard! Bastard! Oh, that's right. Suddenly, Lu Shuiheng, who had already left, came back. This is the gift from Tianyin to you, you can take it or not. Chapter 2383. Lu Shuiheng was holding a doll in his hand. Just as he finished speaking, the doll was thrown to the old man's side and he left the courtyard. Dad, you guys, get out! Yao Hua pursed her lips and exhaled. The old man sat quietly in front of the stream. Then, his gaze fell on the doll. It was handmade. It was poorly made. The doll's eyes and mouth were sewn crookedly. It's as stupid as her. He threw the doll to the side. Not to mention the fact that the old man didn't like dolls at his age, the doll's appearance disgusted him. At this moment, a spirit stone fell out of the rag doll's mouth. The stone fell to the ground. A projection suddenly appeared in front of the old man. At first, the image was blank. Soon, a mischievous little head popped out from the projection. It looked like it was pointing at a camera. Lu Tianyin hopped out of the room. Hello, Grandpa. I'm Lu Tianyin. Hee, I've never seen you since I was young. My father said that you carried me when I was just born. Unfortunately, I was too young and didn't remember what you looked like. The old man, who was about to smash the spirit stone, inexplicably stopped when his hand was halfway through. He stood in front of the spirit stone with his hands behind his back and looked at the image. She looks exactly like her mother. I wanted to see you before, but my dad said that he couldn't go back because he fought with you. I scolded him. Good scolding, the old man replied. Just now, my dad suddenly told me that he wanted to come back to see you. I really wanted to come. Then why didn't you come? The old man muttered. My dad said that you wouldn't be happy if I went. Actually, I think I'm quite obedient. I had no choice but to stay at home. But I have a gift for you. Look, a little bear. My dad always said that you're a stubborn old man. I learned how to knit and made a little bear for you. It might be ugly, but it can always accompany you. In the future, as long as you see it, you will see me. I won't say much. I secretly hid this spirit stone in here. I can't let my father find it. In a few days, I'll be taking the mercenary assessment. If I get a good result, I'll definitely let my father tell you. Lu Tianyin seemed to want to continue speaking, but it seemed like someone suddenly entered the room. In order not to be discovered, the scene stopped abruptly. The old man subconsciously raised his hand, and the video ended there. Strangely, he glanced at the little bear on the ground, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Then, she grabbed the spirit stones on the ground. Not bad. With a smile, he kept the little bear and placed it in front of the boulder where he always sat. Yao Hua! Father! When Yao Hua heard this, she walked in through the arched door. The moment she came in, she saw the little bear that was placed in front of the boulder. Her mouth couldn't help but reveal a smile. Here. Suddenly, a suit of armor appeared in the old man's hand out of thin air. Bring it to Tianyin. The old man said, in a few days, Tianyin will be taking the mercenary assessment. This set of armor is what I used when I was young. It's suitable for Tianyin, who is at the 8th level of the domain realm. Okay. Go! Father, do you have anything else to say? Yao Hua held the armor and asked. The old man glanced at her. He knew what Yao Hua was waiting for. No. After rejecting her, the old man silently turned around and didn't look at Yao Hua again. I understand. Nodding at the old man, Yao Hua turned around and left. The old man sat quietly, looking at the little bear in front of the boulder. His gaze was gentle. Then, he rubbed the spirit stone a few times. Hello, grandfather. I am Lu Tianyin. Stubborn old man. In a valley, Lu Shuiheng stood at the entrance. Opposite him was Yao Hua, who just left the old man's place. Father has always been like this. Second brother, why can't you give in to him a little? I give in to him? When I give in to him, do I still say anything? Lu Shuiheng smiled bitterly. Since young, I have always listened to him. I can't decide anything. The only decision I made was to marry by he. Little sister, do you think I am wrong? Father, don't mention him. Lu Shuiheng shook his head. He looked at the inside of the valley. This valley was completely isolated from the town. Inside there were dozens of thatched huts. The people who lived here were the former members of the Lu family. Ever since the Lu family took over the position of mayor, the entire Lu family had been brought here. Some had even gone to other towns to seek a better future. It was hard to imagine. In this remote place, the people who lived here used to be a famous family. Are you prepared to let the Lu family stay here forever? I don't want to, but you can't persuade the old man, right? Yao Hua pursed her lips and nodded. Second brother, don't blame father. Actually, he has been trying to break through to the star system realm. I believe as long as father breaks through, he will definitely bring Lu family out. How could it be so easy? Lu Shuiheng said. If he could break through so easily, why would the old man stay here for so long? Brother, then what do you mean? I am preparing to revive Lu family, Lu Shuiheng said. Yao Hua was happy when she heard his words. Brother, are you coming back? That's great, I can give you the position of the family head at any time. You know, I don't like it at all. I'm not coming back. While Yao Hua was excited, Lu Shuiheng shook his head. Then you. Yao Hua frowned. Originally, I came back to discuss with the old man. Unfortunately, with his temper, there is nothing much to say. Lu Shuiheng said, reviving Lu family depends on you. Me? Some time ago, I met a capable person. Lu Shuiheng said, that young man looks to be about the same age as Tianyin, but he is already at the 2nd level of the star system. He also has 6 flaming lions as his spirit beasts. What? Yao Hua was stunned. He is from the upper circle? No. Lu Shuiheng said, he seems to be from the lower circle. From this, it can be seen how monstrous his talent is. He can still break through to the 2nd level of the star system at such a young age. That's right. Yao Hua nodded. Although they were all in the same world, there was a huge difference in the concentration of cosmic force between different levels. Compared to them, the concentration of cosmic force in the lower circle was much lower. Compared to them, the concentration of cosmic force in the lower circle was much lower. Under such harsh conditions, to be able to break through to the 2nd level of the star system at such a young age, one could imagine his talent. If we can recruit such a person, give him some time. No, little sister, I am not asking you to recruit him. Lu Shuiheng let out a long sigh. I am preparing to introduce you, and then ask him to help our Lu family. Chapter 2384. Yao Hua frowned. When she looked towards Lu Shuiheng, her gaze was a bit strange. It was really hard to imagine. She actually heard the word beg coming out of Lu Shuiheng's mouth. All along, the impression that Lu Shuiheng gave people in the family was that he never begged anyone for anything, even if he fell out with the family. Just like what Elder Lu was worried about, the Lu family suppressed the Lu family a lot. Lu Shuiheng, who stayed in the town, actually had a rather tough time for a period of time. Despite that, he did not lower his head to the family and did not take a single star coin from them. Fortunately, as time went on, Lu Shuiheng was the only person from the Lu family left in the town. The Lu family's position in the town also gradually solidified. Only then did his situation improve slightly. He relied on his small mercenary group to occasionally go out and hunt some fierce beasts to support his family. At that moment, Lu Shuiheng actually said to Yao Hua, he was going to beg Yi Zichen for help and let the Lu family return to the public. Big brother. I didn't hear wrong, right? You said beg, not invite, right? Yao Hua pursed her lips and tentatively said. Lu Shuiheng smiled and looked at her. His expression was a bit sad. I find it hard to believe. This is really surprising. Yao Hua nodded and said, I don't understand, why do we have to go and beg him? Even though his talent and strength are not bad, you can't be interested in his flame lion, right? The flame lion is not bad, but it doesn't mean much to us, right? The real problem the Lu family faced was how to take back their position in the town, which was to take back the position of mayor. If they simply wanted to strengthen their clan, the Lu family's current position could be counted as a big family in any town. A skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. As the lord of a town, the Lu family had a rich foundation and the strength of the family members were not bad. Even the current Lu family. They couldn't compare to the Lu family in terms of foundation. What they were afraid of was the star system level. As long as the injured star system level Elder Lu was still around, the Lu family would not be able to deal with him. What we really need to face is that star system level that came from nowhere. Father also knows this, that's why he is so desperate to break through to the star system level. Only then will we have the right to compete with them, Yao Hua said. Little sister, do you think I don't know about this? Lu Shuiheng laughed. Of course I didn't mean that. Yao Hua explained, I'm just saying what I think in my heart, and I'm waiting for you to dispel my doubts. Have you found out anything about Zhenzi during this time? Lu Shuiheng asked. Yes. Yao Hua nodded. Even though the Lu family had retreated from the town, that town was still their root. The people of the Lu clan were very determined. They would definitely return to their homeland, so the Lu family had been paying close attention to the situation in the town. Actually, I also know about the person who owns the flaming lion. Yao Hua smiled. I've had the intention to recruit him before, but I haven't had the time to do so yet. Then do you know what happened last night? Suddenly, Lu Shuiheng's eyes narrowed. I don't know. Feeling the change in Lu Shuiheng's eyes, Yao Hua also frowned. Last night there was a big movement. Late at night, the Lu clan sent out all their elites, all those above the star level. Until this morning, less than 5 people returned. Lu Tianhe was severely injured and on the verge of death. I don't think he has woken up yet. What? Yao Hua was shocked. Lu Tianhe was already one of the most powerful people in the town. 6th level star level. Coupled with the physique tempering technique of the Lu clan, even a level 8 or level 9 cultivator might not be able to defeat him. After he took control of the Lu clan, he had been recruiting people. They had been recruiting for a long time, and there were more than 20 star realm experts in the clan. Among them, 9 were above the 4th star level. His younger brother, Lu Tianhai, was in the 7th star level. They left late at night. Less than 5 people returned. What did they do? Yao Hua asked. Who in the town could do this? Did Lu Tianlong make a move on him? Yao Hua could only think of Lu Tianlong from the main clan. Among these brothers, Lu Tianhe and Lu Tianlong's relationship had never been harmonious. Everyone at their level knew this as well. Lu Tianhe had always wanted to take over the main clan. Lu Shuiheng shook his head. Yao Hua's frown deepened. She really couldn't think of anyone who could do this. Inexplicably, she suddenly froze, thinking of what Lu Shuiheng had said to her at the beginning. Don't tell me it's that person. Yes, it's the future. Lu Shuiheng nodded solemnly. Lu Tianhe took a fancy to his flaming lion and sent all the elites of the branch clan, but they returned empty-handed. There's another interesting piece of news. Lu Tianhai became his subordinate in the future. This, Yao Hua couldn't help but take a few steps back. All the elites were sent. This meant that Lu Tianhe had brought at least 20 stellar-level warriors with him. Less than 5 people returned. Lu Tianhe was on the verge of death, and Lu Tianhai surrendered. How did he do it? I'm not sure. Lu Shuiheng shook his head. I've only met him once. At first, I wanted to be on good terms with him. Then, I thought that the Lu clan would definitely find trouble with him, so I purposely said some strange words to get him to leave my house. Originally, I wanted to help the clan avoid disaster, but who would have thought? Lu Shuiheng let out a long sigh. He was filled with regret for the decision he had made back then. When he'd first met Yi Zichen, he genuinely wanted to befriend him. However, when he returned to the manor, he suddenly realized that the flaming lion was a disaster. The Lu clan had to have absolute control over the town. There was no way he would allow other clans to have spiritual beasts that were on the same level as his own clan's spiritual beasts. In order for the Lu clan to have peace, that was why he intentionally got Yi Zichen to leave. When he suddenly received the news that morning, the regret in his heart surged like a tidal wave. It was also at that time. He had already decided that Yi Zichen was definitely the person that would bring the Lu clan back to its peak. Thus, he hurried to the clan grounds to discuss it with his father. Unfortunately, the two of them argued the moment they met, so he didn't say what he was thinking. He has a master behind him? Yao Hua asked. I think it's possible, Lu Shuiheng nodded. Lu Shuiheng nodded. If everything was done by him, then it truly is too shocking. I reckon that he definitely has a senior above the star system level behind him. Big brother, what do you need me to do? Yao Hua's expression turned serious. If it was truly as Lu Shuiheng had guessed, then she really did need to beg Yi Zichen. For the Lu clan. And for her father. During this period of time, Old Man Lu had been forcefully breaking through, causing his body to be in a much worse state than before. If this continues, he's going to collapse before breaking through to the star system level. Tell him our clan's secret. Lu Shuiheng's gaze darkened, then turned resolute. Use this secret to exchange for his help. Chapter 2385. At the tavern in town, Hua Jianrou, who had just returned from the first universe, sat in front of the table and looked at the guards behind Zhao Xian. They were star-level experts from the Lu family. 4th level of the star level. Haiku and Lu Tianhai were both sent out by Yi Zichen to investigate some things. They had yet to return. Future. I really admire you. After relaxing in the first universe for a few days, Hua Jianrou returned to her usual lively self. Actually, we only haven't seen each other for a day. Hua Jianrou admired him from the bottom of her heart. Everyone who came to the second universe had a similar starting point. However, in the short span of a year, Yi Zichen had left everyone who entered the second universe far behind. Before he came, she had even heard from her father that her family had invested a lot of manpower and money. The reward he received was not very satisfactory. Up until now, her family would lose tens of millions of universe credits every single day. Even so, Even her father felt that it was all worth it. Yi Zichen? He had a city near the village, and pretty much all of the surrounding villages were under his control. Not only did he lose money, he was basically making a lot of money every day. That wasn't all. More importantly, in terms of recruiting experts, her family had spent a huge amount of resources to recruit a stellar-level expert. There were several star-level experts in Zhao Xian City. Just as she went back to relax, there were more stellar-level guards. Future. How about this? Can you teach me some special techniques? How did you do it? I'll go back and tell my dad, Hua Jianro said worriedly. It's fortunate that my dad isn't here. If he knew about you, he might die from anger. It's not like you don't know what I do every day. Why should I? Hua Jianro complained. The early stages of the future are rather smooth. He worked hard bit by bit to get what he has now, Bai Sei comforted. Stop messing around. You're the only one siding with him. Hua Jianro twitched her mouth. I'm just stating the facts, Bai Sei shrugged. Bai Sei shrugged. As soon as she finished speaking, she stood up from her seat. Let's go. Menlo and the Flame Rat are waiting for us outside. Didn't you say that you're going to train hard this time? I want to see just what kind of tricks he's up to this time. Hua Jianro squinted her eyes and looked Yi Zichen up and down. Let's go. Bai Sei dragged Hua Jianro out. Along the way, Hua Jianro kept complaining that she did not want to leave. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh as he watched them leave. They had met purely by chance. Yi Zichen was invited over, and coincidentally bumped into Hua Jianro, who was wandering around the town. In an instant, Hua Jianro stuck close to him and asked him all sorts of questions about why she didn't see him in the straw hut and why he came here. Fortunately, Bai Sei was here. Otherwise, Yi Zichen reckoned that Hua Jianro would have stayed here forever. He checked the time. He had been sitting there for almost 10 minutes. The person who invited him still hadn't arrived. Brother Future. At that moment, a clear laughter suddenly sounded out from the tavern. Yi Zichen looked over and saw Lu Shuiheng, whom he had not seen for a long time, walk over with a bright smile, while a stunning beauty followed beside him. Yao Hua. Yao Hua had specially dressed up before coming here. She understood the importance of this meeting. She wanted to do everything she could to leave the best impression on Yi Zichen. Serve the dishes. The moment Yi Zichen sat down, Lu Shuiheng called for the dishes to be served. Then, he spoke apologetically. I came a bit late, please don't mind it too much. Yi Zichen nodded, then got straight to the point. What did you call me here for? The person who invited him was Lu Shuiheng. Actually, Yi Zichen did not have a good impression of Lu Shuiheng, but it wasn't too bad either. But at the very beginning, he said a lot of weird things, causing Yi Zichen to feel that there was something strange about this person, so he left. Not long ago, Yi Zichen found it very strange that he suddenly sent someone to invite him, but he still came to the banquet. I came to apologize to Brother Future. Lu Shuiheng's eyes revealed an apologetic look. I said some weird things to Brother Future a few days ago. I hope Brother Future won't mind. Weird. Yi Zichen pursed his lips. In other words, you did it on purpose? Sort of. Lu Shuiheng smiled wryly, then spoke with a bit of embarrassment. Brother Future. Actually, from the very beginning, I truly wanted to befriend you. What a pity. I hope you can understand. Your raging flame lion is making me a bit worried. If you continue to stay at my house, it might bring me some trouble, and affect my family. I understand, Yi Zichen nodded. Then you're not afraid anymore since you came to find me? Brother Future, I can tell that you're the type of person who doesn't like to beat around the bush. Since you came, it means that you're willing to give me face, so I'll just say it directly. Lu Shuiheng let out a sigh. You're the one who split the Lu family, right? He actually came for that. Yi Zichen didn't really care about heavily injuring the Lu family. He wasn't afraid of the Lu family at all. He wasn't even afraid of the star system level. With the hollow ore set, even the star system level couldn't hurt him. Not only was he not afraid, he even wanted to spar with the star system level. Last time, he didn't get to enjoy himself at all. Yi Zichen didn't even feel like he had reached his limit after fighting a bunch of star system level 7 people. He estimated that it wouldn't take much effort for him to fight against the star system level. He just wanted to feel what it would be like to fight against the star system level. That's right. Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered to hide it. Since Lu Shuiheng came to find him, it meant that he had investigated everything. Beating around the bush was just a waste of time. Then, Brother Future, aren't you afraid of the Lu family's star system level? Lu Shuiheng asked. Why would I be afraid of him? Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled, while paying attention to Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua's faces. When he said these words, both of them subconsciously revealed looks of joy. This is… Lu Shuiheng glanced at Yao Hua and hurriedly said, Brother Future, I nearly forgot. Future brother, I almost forgot, this is my little sister Yao Hua, Lu Yao Hua. Right now, she is also our family head. Hello, Yao Hua reached out her hand with a smile. Yi Zichen nodded, shook her hand lightly, then quickly let go. Tell me why you've come. They asked if he was afraid of the star system level, and the head of the Lu family. Yi Zichen had already somewhat guessed why Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua had come. We want to beg you to help our Lu family. Chapter 2386. Help. Lu Shuiheng came here to ask for help. Yi Zichen did not expect that. He thought that they would invite him to be a guest like Lu Tianhe, or join the Lu family. Yao Hua pursed her lips nervously. Lu Shuiheng's situation was pretty much the same as hers, so she silently waited for Yi Zichen's reply. Their relationship with Yi Zichen couldn't be considered close. A sudden invitation. Actually, there was a high chance that he would reject them. I don't understand. Yi Zichen thought for a moment, then smiled. I'm just in the second level of the star body realm. How can I help you? Future brother, a straightforward person doesn't beat around the bush. Lu Shuiheng gritted his teeth and took a deep breath. We want to ask the senior behind you for help through you. Senior? Yi Zichen instantly understood. Currently, he was only at the second level of the star body realm. Lu Shuiheng and the rest did not know that he had the hollow ore set, nor did they know that his genes had been upgraded. In their eyes, or rather, in the eyes of ordinary people, Lu Tianhe led dozens of star state experts to find trouble with him. All of them were heavily injured. Naturally, people would think that Yi Zichen had someone capable backing him. Yi Zichen swept his gaze over the two of them. Since they were willing to believe that, he might as well let them. That senior of mine is not easy to invite. We are willing to pay. Yao Hua hurriedly said. Haha, are you serious? Suddenly Yi Zichen's smile vanished. His sudden change in expression caused Yao Hua to bite her lips in spite of herself. What did he say wrong? Reward? Fortunately, I'm the one sitting in front of you right now. If it was that elder from my clan, you would most likely return disappointed. Beauty Yao Hua, how are you going to give it to a cosmic system state? Do you think you can hire those stellar-level fighters with money? Remuneration? You make it sound like you're hiring me. Yi Zichen shook his head with a snicker. Yao Hua instantly understood what he meant and understood what the problem was. I definitely didn't mean that. I know. Yi Zichen raised his hand to indicate that she didn't need to explain any further. Of course I can understand you. What I said just now was from the perspective of a star system level person, and was also to remind you to watch your words. I can feel the urgency in your heart, but no matter how anxious you are, you can't make it too obvious. You are right. Yao Hua nodded. He thought back to his words and performance just now. Yao Hua also felt that she was too anxious. This situation, if it was any other time, the other party might have taken advantage of her anxiety to raise the price. May I know your reasons? Future bro, to be honest, the mayor of this town used to be our Lu family. Lu Shuiheng let out a long sigh, then told Yi Zichen about his family's situation. Yi Zichen roughly understood. The Lu family had lived here for generations and had always wanted to reclaim the position of mayor. However, they couldn't deal with the cosmic system state of the Lu family. Brother Future, we need your elders to take care of that nebulous state. As for the rest, our Lu family can handle it ourselves. Yi Zichen furrowed his brows, but didn't immediately respond. He didn't care about the family's struggles at all. He'd come here to investigate the town's resources and overall strength, to pave the way for Chaos City's future development. Also, he had to investigate Hua Xie. If he tried to interfere with the Lu family's internal strife, it would only cause unnecessary trouble. But what made him hesitate was, he'd already offended the Lu family. If he could help them, then in the future, when Chaos City really got here, he'd gain an ally. The Lu family couldn't just kill the donkey after it left the millstone. After helping them reclaim the position of mayor, they'd turn their backs on him. Even if that really happened, Yi Zichen wasn't afraid. At worst, he'd just step in and suppress them. Of course, he trusted that given Lu Shuiheng and the others' brains, they wouldn't do something like that. It was decided. After a long silence, Yi Zichen made up his mind. He could help the Lu family. Given his relationship with the Lu family, they'd have to fight sooner or later. Since that was the case, he might as well go with the flow and do the Lu family a favor. He'd do his best to gain as many benefits as possible. Yao Hua and Lu Shuiheng were still anxiously waiting. This isn't going to be easy. Yi Zichen suddenly let out a long sigh, then shook his head as he looked at Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua. Future bro, why isn't it easy? My uncle doesn't like to cause trouble. We came here for some matters, Yi Zichen smiled. I have to apologize to Shuiheng. Actually, I'm not from the lower circle, I'm from the upper circle. You're from the upper circle? Lu Shuiheng was shocked. That's right, Yi Zichen shrugged. If it wasn't for the upper circle, do you think there would be a star system level in the lower circle? Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua both heard that. That's true, the power of the universe level in the lower circle was very thin. It was very hard to even become a star, let alone a star system level. They didn't expect Future to actually come from the upper circle. If that was the case, then they had to be even more careful and more confident. They could tell from his words and actions just now. He should be from a large family. Since that was the case, then the family definitely didn't just have one solar system. The arrival of a star system level from the Lu family was very sudden. If no surprise, he was also from the upper circle. Lu Shuiheng had been worried at the start. If they dealt with this solar system, then how would they deal with the other solar systems that came? But now they didn't have to worry about that anymore. All they had to think about was how to make Yi Zichen agree, and what price they had to pay. Of course, they were still worried. The cost of a star system level acting would definitely be very high. They just didn't know if the Lu family could afford it. Unless it was absolutely necessary. He really didn't want to use that secret in exchange. A solar system that suddenly appeared here is clearly from the upper circle. He might even know my family. If we act rashly, it might affect my family, said Yi Zichen. Of course, it's not that we can't act. Future bro, please speak. They were all waiting for the second half of Yi Zichen's sentence. For the future of the Lu family. As long as there was even the slightest possibility, they would fight for it with all their might. You don't need me to say it now, right? Yi Zichen grinned at Lu Shuiheng, then at the surprised and worried Yao Hua. That's up to you guys. Tell me, how much can you offer? I'll estimate whether or not my uncle will agree. If I think my uncle will agree, then I can go and persuade you. Chapter 2387. Show your sincerity. Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua looked at each other. One could see the delight in each other's eyes. They were afraid that Yi Zichen would flatly refuse. This way, they wouldn't even have the qualifications to show their sincerity, and there wouldn't be any follow-up. 30 million. Yao Hua takes a deep breath and stretches out 3 fingers. Money. Actually, Yi Zichen didn't have much need for money. In terms of money, his city had a huge output every month. This sort of output was enough to sustain the consumption of the elemental fairies and phoenix, which was enough for Yi Zichen. He actually wanted more resources. That's right. When I said 30 million, I meant 30 million universe credits. At that very moment, Yao Hua seemed to be afraid of Yi Zichen's refusal, so she said something shocking. In order to satisfy Yi Zichen, she'd divulged half of her clan's savings. If he could succeed. In her opinion, it was all worth it. Universe dollars. Even Yi Zichen, who owned a golden city, couldn't help but gasp. Universe 2's 30 million. If converted to the first universe, it would be more than 30 billion. This money was definitely not something that could be accumulated in a short period of time. He could feel that the Lu family was really ready to bleed. What do you think? Yao Hua asked. Actually, this wasn't the limit of what she could accept. She merely wanted to test Yi Zichen's attitude. If he felt like it wasn't enough, then she could continue to add more. To be honest, I'm very tempted. Yi Zichen smiled at Yao Hua. 30 million universe dollars. Any universe-level warrior, upon hearing about such riches, would definitely be moved. That was a total of 30 billion. Even a warrior-level warrior might not be able to possess such wealth. Right now, he just had to deal with a cosmic system state and he would get it. If it was in the first universe, not to mention 30 billion, even if it was 100 million, there would be countless people coming to receive it. In other words, Yao Hua pursed her lips in anticipation. However, not long later, Yi Zichen shook his head. Don't misunderstand. I said I was moved. If it was my uncle, then he might not be able to move his heart. This, Yao Hua was tongue-tied. 30 million universe dollars. This was the wealth accumulated by the Lu family over countless years. In her opinion, it was enough to hire a cosmic system state. This was a considerable reward for a cosmic system state. He was rejected? Sir, are you serious? 30 million universe credits can buy a vast amount of resources. With this amount of money, it is enough to sustain a small family for thousands of years. Yao Hua said. I know. Sensing Yao Hua's anxiety, Yi Zichen explained. I know very well what this amount of money represents, and I can feel your sincerity. But I know my uncle. He has no interest in money. Not interested in money. Yao Hua frowns. She really wanted to explain it to Yi Zichen. What she had just given him was not just money but also a huge amount of resources. Her uncle could use this amount of money to purchase resources. However, she was afraid that Yi Zichen would be unhappy if she said it. Then, in your opinion, what should we give? That depends on you. Actually, Yi Zichen didn't have a clear goal in mind. He just felt that he didn't need money right now, so he didn't really want it. As for what he wanted, he had no idea. When Yao Hua heard this result, she felt a little crazy. I don't want money. I asked you what you wanted, but you refused to tell me. Subconsciously looking at Lu Shuiheng, Yao Hua didn't know what to do at this moment. The future. Sensing his little sister's pleading gaze, Lu Shuiheng smiled. I heard earlier that you were looking for a place rich in elements, right? Ha! A while ago. This bro is really interesting. Yi Zichen had only been in town for less than 3 days at the very most. He did send people to investigate places rich in element. He had to increase his elemental resistance. He could go to places rich in elements to cultivate and increase his elemental control and resistance. That was what Yi Zichen had said in the morning. It was clear that Lu Shuiheng had investigated him quite a bit. He even knew about this. Since he asked like that, it seems like he had some information about elemental rich places. Yes, I was investigating. His uncle is about to control the elements, so he wanted to find a place rich in elements to test it out in order to determine whether he will walk the path of a controller or a pure martial artist. Control of the elements. Both Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua were shocked. Controlling the elements required a person of the universe level. Just now, Yi Zichen mentioned that he was about to, in other words, the 9th level of the galaxy? Yi Zichen smiled in his heart when he saw their shocked expressions. He had actually said that on purpose to get them to randomly guess in the direction of the 9th level of the galaxy. From the looks of it, his plan was quite successful. Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua were truly shocked. The 9th level of the galaxy. They didn't even dare to think about it. In their entire town, the Lu family was the only nebula-level expert. Looking at the history of the town, none of the surrounding towns had any nebula-level expert. Strangely, Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua looked at each other, then nodded. The 9th level of the galaxy. Regardless of whether Yi Zichen was telling the truth or not, they were willing to take the gamble. In the future, if you feel like your uncle doesn't like money, then we are willing to use a secret realm as a reward. Lu Shuiheng let out a deep breath. This secret realm definitely has rich elements. There might not even be a place richer in elements on the entire continent. You guys actually know of such a place? Yi Zichen was interested. Can you tell me? Sorry, this is a strictly guarded secret of the Lu family. I can't tell you yet. Then what's the point of saying all this? Brother Future, don't be in such a rush. You can tell your uncle and see what he thinks, said Lu Shuiheng. If he thinks it's okay, then we can tell you. Also, if he thinks it's not enough, we can add more. Of course, it won't be too much, because this secret realm is truly important. Lu Shuiheng's expression was solemn. To tell the truth, Yi Zichen's interest was piqued. Even though he'd created an image of himself as an uncle, he clearly couldn't tell them about the secret realm right now. Sure. After a moment's hesitation, Yi Zichen smiled at them. I'll contact my uncle right now. Okay. Lu Shuiheng hadn't expected Yi Zichen to contact him right now. He'd even prepared to wait a few days. Of course, the sooner he could get an answer, the better. Yi Zichen pretended to be contacting his uncle. A few minutes later, he smiled at Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua. Done. Chapter 2388. Yi Zichen turned towards Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua. They'd been silently waiting for the results, but when they heard Yi Zichen's words, their expressions froze. What's the result? It's naturally fine for me to do it myself. Yi Zichen pretended to be proud. My uncle has always spoiled me. What's more, he said that he's very interested in your secret realm. The elemental secret realm. The first thing that came to Yi Zichen's mind was the elemental lands. In every universe, there would be an elemental ground for each element. Yi Zichen had already entered the fire elemental lands in Chaos City, so he thought that there shouldn't be any other elemental lands. However, Lu Shuiheng mentioned the secret realm. I can't be that lucky, right? There are actually 2 elemental lands in a single life planet? He felt that the possibility was rather low, but it wasn't impossible. Even if it wasn't, Lu Shuiheng said that it would be good to cultivate there for a while with such a high elemental density. That's great. Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua were overjoyed. Uncle agreed. With his suspected level 9 nebula level, it would be a piece of cake for him to take care of the Lu family's nebula level. Don't be too happy. My uncle also said that he's only interested in the elemental secret realm. He doesn't know whether or not it's suitable for him, said Yi Zichen. Killing the Lu family's nebula level is fine, but you need to pay him a bit more. Didn't you say 30 million earlier? My uncle said that the elemental secret realm is worth 10 million, so you need to pay him another 20 million. Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua revealed troubled expressions. In their hearts, the elemental secret realm was worth far more than 10 million universe credit. Before coming here, they had planned to pay 30 million if they didn't mention the elemental secret realm, or 40 million at most. But if they mentioned the elemental secret realm, it would be best if they didn't have to pay. If they really had to pay, then they would have to pay around 10 million in resources. Okay. After a short moment of hesitation, Yao Hua nodded heavily. It was just 10 million more. She would pay. Right now, she had to solve the problem as soon as possible. She didn't have the mood to care about the price. Your Excellency, may I ask when your uncle will come here? Why would he come here? Yi Zichen frowned. This uncle was something he made up. How could he appear in front of them? Is he not coming? Yao Hua asked. It's just killing a cosmic system state of the Lu family. My uncle can just go. Yi Zichen waved his hand casually. My uncle also said that it's fine if we meet. He doesn't like meeting strangers. All right. Lu Shuiheng nodded. Experts all have some arrogance. He and Yao Hua were star level. It was understandable that the other party didn't want to see them. There was nothing to be concerned about. The most important thing was to take care of the galaxy of the Lu family. Then when will you make your move? Lu Shuiheng asked. I didn't ask about that. You know, even though I'm his nephew, I can't ask too much. Yi Zichen shrugged. My uncle just told me that he knows, and told me to ask you guys about that secret realm. Both Lu Shuiheng and Yao Hua had a difficult look on their faces. The Lu family galaxy was still alive. How could they possibly reveal the location of the mystic realm? Yi Zichen understood their hesitation. He didn't want the address right away. I understand your difficulties. Just describe what the secret realm is like. You don't need to tell me the address. That way I can report to my uncle. Don't you think so? Yi Zichen grinned. It's actually nothing much. Lu Shuiheng calmed down after hearing Yi Zichen's words. I'll have to tell you sooner or later. Even if I hide it now, I can't hide it forever. What's more, he trusted Yi Zichen and felt like he wasn't the type to lie. Of course, since Yi Zichen didn't force it, he wouldn't be stupid enough to say it. A simple description was fine. Actually, explaining this secret realm is a bit troublesome. I wonder if my future brother knows about elemental spirits? Asked Lu Shuiheng. Yi Zichen, who was about to take a sip of water, instantly trembled. Soon, he calmed himself down, took a sip, and put the cup on the table. I know a bit. Elemental spirit. The birth of the universe is inextricably linked to them. They're born in the elemental lands. That's right, Lu Shuiheng nodded with a smile. It seems like future brother truly knows a lot about elemental spirits. It's all right. Yi Zichen didn't need to know about such shallow knowledge. He could just search it up on the virtual network. The content was much more detailed than what Yi Zichen had just said. If Lu Shuiheng wanted to know, Yi Zichen could talk about the content on the virtual network for an entire day and night. Why did you mention elemental spirits? Don't tell me that the secret realm you're talking about is the elemental lands. Yi Zichen pursed his lips as if he was joking. Yi Zichen pursed his lips, then said it as if he were joking. In truth, however, his heart was extremely tense. Of course not, Lu Shuiheng also smiled. Lu Shuiheng also smiled as he said, if our Lu family had guarded the elemental land, we wouldn't have fallen to such a state. Then, it wasn't the elemental lands. Yi Zichen was rather disappointed when he heard that. But then he thought about it. There were only a few elemental spirits in the entire universe. There might not even be one elemental land in a solar system, so how could two elemental lands appear on the same planet? Of course, it can also be said to be half an elemental land, Lu Shuiheng said, because elemental spirits once lived there. Although it was a very short time, the density of the elements was rather shocking. Our Lu family's ancestors discovered that place, and passed it down to our generation. The place where elemental spirits once lived. Although it wasn't an elemental land, it wouldn't be too bad since elemental spirits lived there. The Liu family's ancestors were truly lucky to be able to find such a place. I have a question. Even if it's an elemental land, if the elemental spirits aren't here for a long time, the elements inside would become sparse. Your secret realm. My ancestors sealed that place back then. You don't have to worry about that. With that, Yao Hua took out a stack of coins and placed it on the table. Here's 5 million universe dollars. This is a deposit. Yao Hua smiled awkwardly. We trust you, sire, and trust your uncle even more. Treat this 5 million as a deposit. When the Liu family's star system level dies, we will hand over the remaining 15 million and the secret realm. Alright, then I'll accept it. Yi Zichen put the universe dollars into his bag, then stood up from his seat. I await the good news. Chapter 2389. Vicious Beast Forest. The surrounding ground was already littered with the corpses of quite a few vicious beasts. At that moment Yi Zichen sat cross-legged on the ground. If anyone else was here, they would definitely be shocked. Yi Zichen had single-handedly taken care of all the vicious beasts here. Vicious beasts versus humans. Their intelligence was on the low side, and their bodies and strength were several times that of humans. Many elite vicious beasts, like the flaming lion, needed to be at least 2 or 3 minor realms higher to take care of. Other vicious beasts needed to be at least as strong as him. But Yi Zichen, he'd single-handedly killed at least 80 vicious beasts, if not 100. Anyone would be shocked by this sort of accomplishment. A few young flaming lions were currently dividing up the vicious beast. The female flaming lions guarded the cubs, while the star-level flaming lion lay in front of Yi Zichen. Vicious beasts were savage to the core. Perhaps for some reason, some vicious beasts had been tamed into humans' spiritual beast. Even so, in their hearts, the vicious beasts still didn't have absolute faith in humans. They were all enduring silently. When they had enough strength, they would take revenge. That was why vicious beasts had become spiritual beasts. There was still news of them killing their masters. However, the flaming lion definitely wouldn't. It was completely stunned by Yi Zichen's strength. Just now, it had personally witnessed the effects of Yi Zichen's killing. One-hit kill. No matter what level they were along the way, it had sensed a few that would have been too much for it to handle. Still, they died by Yi Zichen's hands. Phew! Yi Zichen sat cross-legged on the ground and let out a long sigh, then slowly opened his eyes. He hadn't been injured just now. He'd sat cross-legged to better absorb the cosmic energy of the dead vicious beast. This is more suitable for me. Yi Zichen waved his arms and twisted his neck. When he first came here, the talent he'd obtained was one-hit kill. This talent had already told him to walk the path of slaughter. At the very beginning, he'd done the same. He'd gained quite a bit from it. However, in the later stages, the Virtual World Corporation had diluted the data of this world, allowing the power of the universe to appear. When killing vicious beasts, there would be unknown dangers. It wasn't just Yi Zichen, almost everyone from Universe 1 who entered this place would subconsciously choose the most mediocre route to advance, which was to absorb cosmic energy within the safe zone. It was a pity. That didn't suit Yi Zichen. When he came here, he had obtained 3 times the EXP. Then he would definitely meditate until he died. His innate talent was a one-hit kill. Training in the safe zone was equivalent to giving up on his talent. It was a waste of God's gift. Thus, Yi Zichen decided to continue down the path of slaughter. With the hollow suit, he did not need to worry too much about his safety for the time being. The gene breakthrough also caused his attack power to increase significantly. Judging from the effect of the short 4 hours, there was no need to worry. He was not wrong. It was during this period Yi Zichen also noticed something strange. In other words, it was one of the more unique aspects of this world. This world was really like a game world. Killing berserk beasts would allow one to obtain the power of the universe just like cultivating. Killing berserk beasts would also allow one to obtain weapons, equipment, and various tools. Why is the second universe like this? To anyone in the first universe, the second universe was like a mystery. The only ones who truly understood this place were one Lee and the other big shot. The others were all ignorant people who had been kept in the dark. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered to think about it anymore. He felt like the reason why he had so many troubles was because he thought too much. If the great sage and Yang Jian were here and they encountered this sort of problem, just fight. That's definitely what they would say. Thinking of them, Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile. No matter how long he stayed in the universe, he still missed his old friends more. It seems like I really have to go back and visit them when I have time. Go and get some more ferocious beasts. Yi Zichen patted the flaming lion. The flaming lion, who was lying on the ground, instantly opened its eyes and looked towards the corpses on the ground. It was as if it was saying, I already killed so many, and you still want to find more? I told you to go, so just go. You don't want the energy crystals anymore? The flaming lion immediately became alert the moment Yi Zichen said that. Energy crystals were crystals formed in the skulls of high-level ferocious beasts. It was like a human's dantian and qi, the place where energy was gathered. It should be useful against spiritual beasts. At least, when Yi Zichen took it out, he didn't feel like it could be used. There are energy crystals. The flaming lion eagerly roared towards the forest of ferocious beasts. Provoke. Yi Zichen simply waited in place. He was diligently hunting ferocious beasts for the sake of his future, and also for the sake of killing the Lu family's star system level expert. It was strange, the ferocious beast forest Yi Zichen and company were in was where the grass hut was, which was around the territory of the star system level ferocious beasts. The flaming lion continued to provoke them. Quite a few ferocious beasts had come. However, there were no star system level ferocious beasts. If it could come, Yi Zichen reckoned that killing it would increase his cultivation by at least 2 levels. Late into the night, after an entire afternoon, Yi Zichen, who was immersed in hunting ferocious beasts, felt that his strength had increased by at least 10%. If he had enough time, half a month, he might be able to break through to the 3rd level of the galaxy in less than half a month. If he was diligent, it wasn't impossible for him to break through to the 4th level. If he was efficient, there were very few in the entire second universe. This was all thanks to his one-hit kill technique. Others had to be careful when killing ferocious beasts, and they had to consider their own strength. Yi Zichen didn't care at all. The moment he triggered it, he'd instantly kill it. Furthermore, given his current stats, it was normal for him to be this efficient. Yi Zichen obtained quite a bit of equipment from killing ferocious beasts. At that moment, the scimitar in his hand was a star system level dark gold-grade weapon. So this is the Lu family. Yi Zichen walked openly through the street. He made no attempt to hide himself. The way he saw it, if he really did that, he'd attract attention. He stood in front of the Lu family's main gate. Yi Zichen looked at the bustling crowd around him. The Lu family was located in a busy area. If he wanted to enter the interior, no matter which direction he went, he would be noticed. Furthermore, the Lu family's security was very tight. It seems like assassination won't work. Yi Zichen rubbed his nose. I have to think of another way. At that moment, an equipment shop entered Yi Zichen's line of sight. He looked at the equipment in his bag and couldn't help but smile. Chapter 2390. Then, he arrived in front of the equipment store. Only then did Yi Zichen see that it wasn't really an equipment store, as there were many different items inside. Lu Family Trading Company. That was the name of the store. Yi Zichen came here specifically because he saw the name. The Lu family. Who else could it be other than the Lu family in the entire town? Since the merchant house was so close to the Lu clan, it must belong to the Lu clan. Yi Zichen walked in from the main entrance. The store had a total of 6 floors. There were some miscellaneous items at the entrance, and all of them were of rather low quality. Yi Zichen looked around. All of them were things that Yi Zichen had no use for. I wonder what sire wants to buy. You can tell me. If it's something that our store has, I can send someone to get it for you. A mustached man walked out from the counter. He was also the person in charge of the store. The Liu Family Trading Company had a very high status in the Liu family. The reason he was able to sit in this position was partially due to him being a direct descendant of the Liu family. Another thing was, he was very good at reading people. From the moment Yi Zichen entered the store, he felt that this person was different from other people. He didn't seem like a normal person in terms of temperament or behavior. Also, when he walked around the service area on the first floor, Yi Zichen could tell from his gaze that he wasn't very satisfied with the items here. He should be a big customer. With his many years of experience, this seemingly very young man was definitely an important guest. Thus, he personally came out to receive him. Who are you? This humble one is the manager that the Liu family sent here, Liu Qing. I saw that sire doesn't seem to be very satisfied with the items here. You came to me on your own? Yi Zichen couldn't help but chuckle as he looked at the mustached man. Originally, he had wanted to go and find them on his own, but they came to find him instead. That's even better. Manager Liu. Yi Zichen cupped his hands towards the mustached man, then revealed a look of pity in his eyes. He let out a long sigh. I heard that the Liu Family Trading Company is a famous store in the surrounding towns. What a pity! The items on this floor are all normal ones. They are specifically for those under the 5th level of the domain, so sire naturally doesn't care about them, the mustached man said with a smile. I wonder what sire is looking for. Do you have any star system level equipment here? About this, the mustached man was shocked. Cosmic system state? He doubted his own ears. If it was star-level equipment, their trading firm still had some, but the grade was relatively low. They were all white and blue ranks, there were very few gold ranks. If the Liu clan obtained such equipment, they would use it to arm their clansmen and increase the overall strength of the clan. Why would they sell it outside? Not to mention Lady Liu. It was the same for any family business in the surrounding towns. High-grade equipment would not be left in the wild. Sir, did you just say the galaxy? Not the stars. The mustached man instinctively probed Yi Zichen. In truth, he'd thought Yi Zichen had meant to say star level, but he'd made a slip of the tongue. It could be seen from this. The youth in front of him was an expert above the star realm. The mustached man thought to himself. No wonder he couldn't see through his strength. The mustached man was only at the 9th level of the domain realm. His strength in the town was considered average. He didn't expect this youth to be a cosmic system state. Why were there so many young monsters in town recently? The Liu clan's branch clan had been nearly exterminated because of this youth. When the Liu clan found out, they were enraged. They were already discussing how to capture that person. All of a sudden, the mustached man looked at Yi Zichen in shock. It can't be him, right? The mustached man quickly discarded that thought. How is that possible? This was the Liu clan's trading firm. If he really dared to come, wouldn't he be walking right into a trap? Just as his thoughts ran wild, naturally not, Yi Zichen said coldly. I have so much star-level equipment that I don't even know where to sell them. How could I possibly want those? He really is a cosmic system state. Just who is this youth? Why does he want cosmic system state equipment? It can't be. He's already a cosmic system state? That's impossible. The mustached man couldn't believe that the youth was a cosmic system state. Perhaps he was just asking casually. Very quickly, the mustached man recalled the latter half of Yi Zichen's words. Never mind, it seems like I'm forcing you. Since you don't have any cosmic system state equipment, then I won't bother you anymore. Wait, the mustached man suddenly called out to Yi Zichen. Your Excellency, please wait a moment. Yi Zichen frowned as if displeased. What is it? If I didn't hear wrongly, Your Excellency just said that you have a lot of star-level equipment and are willing to sell them. The mustached man rubbed his hands with a smile. Did I say that? Yi Zichen glanced at the mustached man and pretended to be confused. Your Excellency, please don't overthink it. The Liu clan trading firm is open for business, and we value sincerity. The mustached man smiled solemnly. The mustachioed man said with a serious smile, if you really have equipment that you want to sell, you can actually consider our Liu family trading company. Among the surrounding villages, our Liu clan is at the top in terms of both capital and resources. If you sell it to us, we will keep your identity a secret. We won't let anyone know what you're selling here or what you're getting from us. The mustachioed man was trying to say, you can rest assured if you sell it to us. It's absolutely safe, and you won't be targeted by anyone who wants to steal your money or kill you. Actually, this was the service a trading firm should have. The mustached man's words made it seem like that was an advantage. However, Yi Zichen did come here with a purpose. Even if the mustached man didn't say that, he wouldn't leave. Are you sure? Yi Zichen continued to look around cautiously. You can guarantee my safety if I sell it to you? I can guarantee that no one will know. The mustached man nodded seriously. He was rather excited. It truly is a huge deal. If I can get some star-level equipment for my family, even if it's blue or above, then it'll be a huge merit for me. If I can get one that's gold or above. The mustached man could tell that the weapon on Yi Zichen's waist was not of a low grade. It felt like it was at least a dark gold grade. It would be great if I can buy that weapon. Your Excellency, what do you think? This isn't a good place to talk, right? Yi Zichen looked around the shop. Understood. The mustached man nodded. Of course this isn't a good place to talk. Your Excellency, please.